right, how is it going? This is the live from Sunday, October 30th is when this is being facilitated. So if you're here on YouTube, you can just check the description for the timestamps for your sign, your readings, or whatever you'd like to check out from this video, okay? And we're just gonna give a second for people to show up. Hey, how's it going? I'm gonna try and stabilize this a little bit. That looks like spam to me. Cool. Hey, Raji, how's it going? Oh man, y'all jump in quick now. How are all 60 of you doing this morning? And counting, I suppose. How's everybody doing? I literally just jumped on, so we are just getting started here. Make sure I can get my signs so I can do this. Hey, baby doll, good morning. How are you doing? 111 people, everybody. 123, awesome. So, 4 p.m. in London, right on, awesome. It is like 11 a.m.-ish here, so so what we're doing today, I'm just being guided to chit chat with you guys for a second here, and then we'll probably jump into what we're doing today, which will be the collective readings, the channeling. So we'll be doing all that good stuff today for sure. In fact, we might actually just jump into the collective in just a second here. So I hope everyone's doing all right. I know we're in eclipse season. I'm getting things are good, interestingly enough. So I know not everyone is going through their life right now thinking everything's good, I'm sure. But hey, Andy Pandy Pie, Lucky 41, hey, how's it going? Okay, they want me to start the collective reading, so we're gonna jump right in, if that's good. And I'm gonna unmirror it because I just don't like the mirror. Okay, cool. So this is for you when you see it. Of course, this is a collective reading for everyone here. I don't actually have a lot channeled down ahead of time for the collective. For the other signs, I do have a bit more that I was prepared with, but we're probably just gonna flow with what are the highest and best messages for everyone here, what would like to come through in the moment. So, fully for the highest good. Let's see what would be highest message for me to bring through for all of you today for the collective here. This might be similar to just the way last week's reading kick-started, because I'm just getting the word upshift, and that is what came through first and foremost. They're also showing me a palm tree, but it's like in a circle, which is really interesting. So we'll get to that. And sometimes I say I'm gonna get to it later, and then I don't. So we're gonna get to that next. I'm gonna be doing my best to, and hopefully they'll guide me to get to it next. Otherwise, we'll just flow with what's coming through. But with the upshift message, there's also a message of patience. I don't know if you guys ever played some of the old video games like Sonic the Hedgehog, but the visual they're showing me, and this was from when I was like 5 or really young. I think this was the first video game I played, but there was like this visual, like if you just had, this was on like the, I don't even think the system exists anymore, but if you just didn't move the character, he'd just kind of like sit there and like look at his watch and like tap his foot. So there is a big upshift going on right now, but you might have to be patient with what you're going through in the moment. And sometimes when things are we're either getting squeezed, kind of like an orange getting the juice squeezed out of it, or we're getting things worked out of our system. It's tempting to kind of pull the plug on our path or what we're doing, what we think we should be doing, maybe even who we are is something I'm hearing. And I don't mean literally, sometimes when I'm bringing through messages, those examples apply. They seem to apply literally very frequently to someone on the watching, but it's, I'm getting a message of, for a lot of what you're doing, of course, if you're trying to kibosh old patterns or something, like yes, and the old patterns that aren't really good for you. But for the most part, if you're trying to like do something or you have a path, like I would stick with it right now. And if you're supposed to take a new road, you'll know, is something I'm hearing as well. Like it's going to be pretty obvious, or it's going to be unveiled and made very clear to you. But we're upshifting it right now, and I would just be patient with that process. There was what came through ahead of time was new beginnings on a rise, try not to get caught up in the old. That's just a blanket statement for everyone is what they're showing me. I know that's a little bit vague, but Let me see if they want to clarify it more fully if that's good here. I think I said this last week. We are in a time of new beginnings in general. Of course, with eclipse season, with the new year coming up. So you might find things changing all of a sudden for a lot of you, or just new things coming in, or maybe changes happening you didn't expect. I would really just roll with it. Of course, there's a lot of, I think I've said this a lot too, there's a lot of collective shifting happening right now. There's a lot of things shifting inside all of us, so it's going to make sense that things birth unexpectedly or shift unexpectedly after all the transformation that's been going on is what I'm hearing. But we're in the time that happens is what I'm hearing. I know this is timeless. So if you're watching on YouTube, you're in the time that this happens whenever you're watching this is what I'd say as well. So they were showing me, I know that this has been coming through, this particular symbol has been coming through a lot in these readings, but for whatever reason today for this live, one of the things that kept showing up for pretty much everyone in like all the readings was grasshopper, interestingly enough. And the messages were a little bit different for each one, or just had a slightly different like twist to it. But for grasshopper, as it pertains to you guys, I actually don't have the meaning channel down ahead of time. I have to check in with them now and see what the meaning is for everybody here right now here. So they're showing you this really interesting visual of, it has to do with like leaps or leaps of faith, but there's like walls on either side of these like platforms that this grasshopper is leaping to. So it is like this singular path, but it's like this grasshopper still has to leap. It's like tunneled in. So as far as what the message is, fully that's good. 1 second here. What the message is for you guys. On this one, give me 1 second. One thing I'm hearing for a lot of you guys is you already know what to do. Just do it if you need that kick in the pants on that one. It's not like this grasshopper is like confused with all these different paths right now. Like he knows where he's going. Like it's just a singular path. It's just like he just needs to do it. So there was, okay, they don't want me to quantify it like this. So what do they want me to say here? If you do have to take leaps, and by leaps, I mean like if you have to like change careers, if you have to take a chance on someone, or you have to make a move, like just trust that you're provided for, especially if it's very divinely orchestrated and synchronistic and you can tell that's the case. Like any leaps you have to take right now, you're going to be divinely provided for is what I'm hearing for you guys right now. I feel like I'm just going to keep saying this for however long it applies for everyone. And I know sometimes you have different people in these lives or someone new is in these lives, but another message I'm getting is like, it's just a time of intense healing. It kind of links in with the crystal malachite is the way they're showing it to me. I do feel like some of you are like really wrapping up a lot of healing, and that's part of what the new beginning is about, is like things are just going to birth unexpectedly, because they keep showing this visual of like a dragon and this like egg pops out like really unexpectedly. It's like and in the visual to more like explicitly, it was more like this dragon's kind of in pain, he's uncomfortable, he's like what's going on, or she probably in this example. And then like all of a sudden like this egg pops out and it's like birthed. It's like, oh, it's like, it was like going through all this like squeezing, discomfort, pain. And it's like, whoop, there you go. So coming back to what I was saying though, when I got sidetracked by that visual, though it was part of it, so I wasn't really sidetracking. That's good. Where were we going with that? I think that was the message. I think that explained it pretty well. So I'm just going to move on to whatever else would be highest and best, and then we're going to move on to the fire sign soon. So fully that's good here. So they are showing me this like visual out of this world, and they're showing me like a flying saucer and then the words out of this world as well. And they're giving me the words out of this world experiences. I think this came through more specifically for the fire signs, but if it's collective right now, I'll bring it through for the collective as well for everyone. But there are a lot of things that are unexpected that you would think you wouldn't experience in your life or in your lifetime that are coming your way is something I'm getting. Like a lot of out of this world experiences is pretty much what they mean by that. So I would kind of expect the unexpected around this time period, like over the next month or so from when you're seeing this. Even the next year is something they're clarifying. So the next month, and for some of you this might be playing out for the next year, where it's just like a lot of unexpected things you never thought were going to happen. And this could be a bit of a mix. I feel like it's mostly good. The words they're giving me are mostly good, but they're also saying, like, if it is bad, like, don't worry about it. It's just something that's leading to better, as the reminder they want to give you as well regarding this, like, unexpected stuff happening. And they're giving me this quote, and they're like, sometimes the bad stuff is like what leads us to the best things of our lives. It reminds me of a story. The visual they're showing me is this story, and I think it was from a podcast, actually. I heard it. It was like back in the day, I used to listen to the School of Greatness podcast a ton because I had this in my early 20s, I had this driver job. And so you'd get bored listening to music pretty quickly when you're driving like 8 hours a day. And so I would just put on podcasts, and that was one of the podcasts I put on. And one of the people, their story, I believe, was, I think they were an Olympic athlete, and either they were telling the story or this happened to them, and they had some type of injury or illness, and they had to be put in the hospital when they were supposed to be either competing or something important. And what happened was they met their future wife, who was one of the nurses that was taking care of them. And then it was like a bad thing that led to one of the best things that happened to them, as their story went. So I would definitely keep that in mind as well for like these expect the unexpected and out of this world experiences message that's coming through. And just a lot of you are just meant for greater things than you realize. I'm just flowing with the messages coming through. And I know that's been something that's been popping out of my mouth just a good bit the past few weeks, I want to say, recently. And I'm so sorry, because they always tell me not to say that when I'm going to say it. They're like, oh, I've been saying this a lot. So I don't mean to take away from what I'm saying in the moment, or maybe I'm just going to stop. I'm just going to listen to them and stop saying that stuff. But you guys are meant for greater things than you realize. And one of the themes right now is not settling. Not settling, I'm hearing a weird phrase like not settling for what you think you deserve. But it's more like asking the question, what's actually possible for me? Like, what if we removed the term deserving completely? And instead we ask, like, what in the highest and best ways is possible for me? Like, if you deserved the highest and best, if you deserved everything, if you were worthy of everything, and we took some of the human equations out of it, it's like, what is actually possible for you? And there was like a message that was later on in the reading. They don't want me to say it, sorry. So taking it back to what they want me to say to you right now, whoever's tuned in, they're just saying, like, you really do deserve way better than you realize, first and foremost. But one, don't settle for less than that. But two, like, I also kind of like the idea of, like, what if we took that equation out of it? It was just like, what's actually possible for me? And anything's possible. So what do you actually want instead of what do you think you deserve? Because you just deserve way better than you realize, at least most of you tuning into this here. They're showing me this, like, ancient shell. And it's kind of like those ancient shelled creatures that you'll find in, like, fossils, or I know there's like the trilobites. That's not really what they were showing me. They were kind of showing me a representation of it to get the message across that was more like one of the old Pokemon. I don't know why I'm making so many video game references today, but as far as what the message is for you here today, just kind of what they're saying is, like, it's a good idea to potentially focus on your root chakra. They are giving me the term ancient healing as well. I think we've talked about this before, but there is a lot of ancient healing. What I'm trying to say is there's a lot of ancient healing happening where it's like either certain ancient patterns are leaving the collective, or we've been through a healing phase and some of the negative aspects of our ancestry are leaving the collective. And it's part of human evolution. And something akin to evolution is going on right now. They want me to tell you this whole thing, so I guess I'll just delve into it right now. But for anyone who needs to hear it, it reminds me of, there were a lot of people that were talking about kind of a similar thing in a lot of different ways across a lot of different groups. For instance, in this modality called access consciousness, which tends to have a very, usually they're really on point with a lot of things, but if not, well, I'll just let it be what it is. But they were talking about like, oh, like one thing that we're figuring out, or that we've kind of discovered, at least that they said, was like human evolution is occurring. It's like, you know, every certain amount of time, like evolution leaps forward, and they're like, that's actually like happening. And so like that's why certain people, and this was like a couple of years ago, like they were realizing a lot of people were having a lot of trouble with things and making things happen, and they're like, oh, well, it has something to do with this, is what they kind of uncovered through their work. But then you have all like this other group of people talking about ascension, and like they'll talk about human evolution as well, or some type of shift in consciousness, or the rise in consciousness. And you'll hear other groups completely differently, like disconnected from, not disconnected literally, but not necessarily in a lot of contact with those other groups who are talking about a luminous transition. And I think the person who called it that is like actually a Catholic priest who just shouldn't be Catholic. I only heard about it through my mom because she's more Christian, and I was talking a few years ago, I was talking about like ascension stuff and stuff like that, and she's like, oh yeah, this guy is calling this whole thing like a luminous transition. And so it's like all these different groups are talking about the same thing, maybe in like different ways or from different angles. So you don't have to get caught up or wrapped up in any one definition, whether it's the, I hesitate to say this, but it's the words dropping in, the woo-woo ascension, or the scientific human evolution, or it's the rising consciousness, or whatever. But there's a lot of ancestral healing going on, or like things releasing because of that. Because we're ready to let go of the patterns that are holding us back and keeping us in things, like I've said, I think in the last live, like warfare, or lower vibrational things, or I'm even hearing things like lying, or I'm even hearing the word like despair, or as you'll hear certain people talk about in spirituality, like amnesia, when you like incarnate and don't remember anything. I don't know. That's like a weird concept, but they want me to say it, so I'll say it. Anyways, a lot of that stuff is leaving. That's kind of why things are so disconcerting right now, if you need to hear that. And that's going to play out collectively and individually in different ways. And it doesn't all have to be disconcerting, or it doesn't all have to be extremely difficult. It can play out in a number of different ways. And I, in some ways, urge you to keep the possibilities open to what if it can be easy, or what will it take for certain things like this to show up with ease, or what will it take for this to be the highest and best it can be? Because you can manifest a lot more with how these things play out, or how your path plays out, than you realize in a lot of ways. And it's going to depend on who you are, where you're coming from. Are you highest aligned? Are you channeling this and being guided to do that? Or are you trying to force your, like, there's a lot of different elements to it, but some of you are going to have a much easier time manifesting ease with it, and just kind of like having it play out a bit better for you and potentially everyone. You know what? Sometimes we do have to kind of, as the term goes, surrender to source or the divine, and trust the divine process that's playing out with everything. And we can't always necessarily, maybe it's not the best for us to always necessarily control everything, or you know what I'm trying to say with that. But all that to say, keep in mind there's a lot of healing that's like, and by healing leaving the collective, I'm not meaning like the frequency of healing or people healing is leaving. It's just like when some of the work is like done, it's like these patterns are leaving, or like we're wrapping up some of the healing. And that's just part of why there's gonna be so many rapid shifts and like unexpected births and all those things happening. I don't think that was the right way to say that, so give me 1 second here. That's part of why things are shifting so quickly, is what they wanted me to say. And they want me to leave it there on that topic. So, I guess that's, I know that went in like a whole tirade and like more of a channeled conversation than it was like a reading, but I hope that was hopefully that was helpful for you guys to hear, regarding just like that collective messages, I guess, going on there. So anything else? They're yelling the word Jupiter at me. They're showing me Jupiter as well, and they're giving me the term expansion here. So what is the message for you guys collectively? I keep hearing the words don't shrink as well. I think it can be tempting to contract a lot when we're going through something. I think sometimes it's not always up to us. Sometimes our reaction is just our reaction and we have to work through it and heal it or whatever. But what is the... 1 second here. What is the message with Don't Shrink for you guys? There's this really interesting message of like, with some of the things that might happen, or some of the things where we're contracting before we expand or anything like that. And what I mean by that principle, never mind, I'll get to that in a second. What they want me to say about that is it might be tempting to like contract so much where it's like, oh, I'm just gonna hermit away and hide for like years and like play video games in my basement, or I'm gonna hide away and not talk to anyone for like a month. And it's like, some of you might need that. There's very, very few, like one of you might actually be called to do that and it feels light. But for the rest, it's like, don't contract that much. It's like, keep putting yourself out there, keep trying to do your best, keep trying to make moves, and like, then mountains will move is kind of what I'm hearing. Because there is a big expansion coming in for each and every one of us in really big ways. And we might contract a little bit before that happens. And that's kind of that principle of like, I've heard it originally from Lee Harris, where it's like, sometimes when we're about to have a really big like thing birth into our life, we'll kind of contract a bit. And his example he usually uses are like relationships, like before a new romance shows up, if we're single, it's like we might go into like this fear, or like we might have this like just kind of this like exes popping up from the past. It was one of the examples he had, or we're just kind of like in this like kind of contracted spot, and then we meet this person. It's like, and like we expand, or right before it we expand, and we're like good, and then like this relationship gets started or something like that. But it could also be like a business, or another example he uses is like getting on stage and like giving like if you were to channel for people on stage or at an event, he'd be like kind of contracted the day like leading up to the event. He'd be like, why did I do this? Oh my gosh. And then like he'd get on stage just like, okay. And then it'd be like go time, if that makes sense. So there are expansions coming in. So I would not hide away if you contract. I would also just not hide away overly much. It's okay to take a day or whatever you need, but if something happens that causes a contraction, such as a wound or something outside of that, is what I'm hearing. But that wound and that contraction can be part of that expansion that's coming in as well. So don't discount how your physical circumstances and the way the universe is playing out is playing into these themes, because it's all interwoven. It's not all separate necessarily. So they want me to move on to the fire signs, sun, moon, and rising. So we're gonna do that next. Is there anything else for the collective before we dive into that? They're showing me a swan, interestingly enough, giving me the word grace. And some of you have been in this like ugly duckling period of your life where it's just like nothing's working out. Maybe you feel like an ugly duckling, or you just feel super awkward in everything is something they're showing me as well. And it's just like nothing's working, but you're about to expand out of that and be the swan, which is good. They're also showing me a black swan. I never saw the movie Black Swan. They're just literally showing me a black swan. And part of what I'm getting is, for some of you, this is very unexpected. Like you're not expecting this transformation. For others, it's like you're more than just an ordinary swan, even with this message. So try to anticipate things might not be ordinary for any of you, is one thing I'm getting. But even regarding this message, because sometimes we evolve far beyond what we think is possible after what we've been through in life. And we've just been waiting for the dots to connect in the right ways, or the puzzle pieces to come together in the right ways, is the way they're showing it to me as well. Okay, that's it. We're going to close the collective reading and move to the fire signs, and I need to move this sign that fell into this heater so it doesn't catch on fire. Okay, that would be fun. Not fun. It would be something. So I'm going to take a quick coffee drink here. Okay, So we're gonna put it right up and dive in. Fully flash good. Okay. Maybe I'll drink some water first. Okay, so if you have a fire sign, sun, moon, or rising, I do have some channel messages I channeled ahead of time, and we're also just going to flow with what my spirit guides, the angels and source want to bring through fully for the highest good. So let me see where they want me to get this started here for you guys. So the first message I have here that they want me to read to you, they kind of started playing this song when I just went to channel the fire signs reading. And this is going to be very niche because this was from when I was like 7 probably. And I don't know why we're getting this throwback to old video games so much with this live right now, but back in the day when I was like 7 and Pokemon was like all the rage, there was this like soundtrack that like came with either like one of the games or like a DVD that you bought or something. And there was this one song that was like On the Road to Viridian City, and it was kind of a jam when you were 7 at least. Like it was pretty well done, funny enough. And what does that have to do with you guys? What does that mean for you guys? It's almost like, in some ways I want to say starting an adventure. That's not the total message, so bear with me for 1 second here, because it's like in the show or in the games, like that was the first road to like the first major city. That was like your first kind of taste of adventure, I suppose. So I feel like you're either starting a journey as part of the message, or you're wrapping up an old one so you can start a new journey is part of the message coming through for you guys first and foremost. The other words I got with this here, there is more with that before I keep going. So what else is the message for you guys with that one here? So they're showing this really interesting visual of, in like certain video games, you have this like map, this like pre-made map that the developers make, and you're kind of stuck in that area. I mean, yeah, it's possible to glitch things and go out of bounds, but there's not really much for you there as a player. It's just kind of it just kind of is nothing really. And they're showing this visual of like you being scooped out of this one map that's like kind of finite, and you're being like put down into this like bigger map, or this new journey, this new adventure. And it's kind of the same thing, just bigger is the way they're explaining it. Kind of when you get the sequel to a video game, or the follow-up. Excuse my hands here. It's like you might get kind of the similar experience. Like it's still the same game, it's upgraded, maybe there's a bit more to explore, but it's the same concept, it's based around the same thing. You just have a bigger map, you have more to go with. But I feel like this map's actually infinite. Maybe before you've been playing in this finite playground, but you're expanding into something that's a bit more never-ending or more fun. So you're kind of getting this expansion where you're lifted out of the old adventure or map into the new. What does this mean, though, more specifically, as a message for you guys here? I feel like it's just a continuation of what I already said, ending old journeys, beginning new ones, but I feel like it's sudden and unexpected, because it's not like you complete this first game and then you graduate to it. It's kind of like they're just showing the hand of God swooping down, scooping you up, and dropping you on this new map here. And maybe the old map is part of the new map and it just expands. There's a lot of different possibilities for how this could play out more in your life, in your circumstances, but just know there's like an expansion coming to your personal adventure in life, whether it's small and you're just hanging out with cats and drinking tea and making comments on YouTube videos or whatever, or it's big and you own a business and this is like your break from the world, you hanging out with me here, or similar things like this. So that's one message I'm getting, which is really cool. That was a bit more involved of a message than I was expecting. The other words I heard with this are mass improvements, things rearranging, but also the words trust your gut. So Again, things are going to be rearranging for you, or they already have been. I also feel like this is within you, where it's like you might be feeling like one way about one thing one day, and then like the next moment you're feeling a different way about it. But I feel like it's better. It's like maybe you have an upgraded vantage point, or you're seeing more clearly. I'm also getting this message like maybe it's not a good idea to like settle on anything right now, but to let things evolve and kind of, for the highest good, morph and change. Because I just feel like the second you like settle on something, it changes, is a weird message. It's not necessarily about a relationship, by the way. It could be like a circumstance in life. And what do I mean by that? As a better, if I can explain it better, what do they mean by that? Because I'm like, what do they mean by that? What do they mean by don't settle on anything? They're showing the example of like getting an apartment to look a certain way, where it's just like, it's like you get it to look a certain way and you're like, oh yeah, this is it. Like you settle on it. But then like you sit down and you're like, no, I want to move the TV, or like, no, I want to move this wall, or so it's a good time to kind of not settle on things and just like either keep it moving or just be open to things continually changing right now in your life and keeping things a bit more fluid and not trying to force things to be done that aren't done is one thing I'm getting as well, whether that's a project or anything else. It's kind of just, it's also kind of a message of be open to what the universe has in store for you. But it's like you're not done changing is another part of the message. So a caterpillar in a cocoon isn't going to kind of like stop morphing and just be like, yeah, keep life this way. Like, this is perfect. It's like, it's going to keep changing. Eventually it's going to want to bust out of the cocoon. It's going to want probably a change of scenery as a butterfly instead of just sitting on a log the rest of its life and dying of starvation. Like, it's kind of like right now you're in this rearrangement stage. Don't settle on anything because something's probably going to change. Interesting message. Next message I have for you, you're going to have a whole new world coming up soon. I forget sometimes what I channel down ahead of time. So when I'm like on the first message and I'm like going through all the messages I'm getting, I don't always realize what the second message is. It kind of makes sense that you're going to have a whole new world coming up soon is here though, because we just had this visual of like leaving the old map, getting into this expanded map here. And in the collective message, there's a lot of birthing things unexpectedly. So one message for you is you're going to have a whole new world coming up soon. As far as the time frame, different for each of you. I know this is a bit further out, but definitely in the next 6 months is what I'm getting as a time frame. A lot of you, it's probably a lot sooner, and you either already see it coming or you're evolving into it as we speak, and you're just like, I know what this is, so I wouldn't worry about that too much, though. Just know that things are conspiring to get you to a new world. And sometimes when you think you're done leveling up, you're not done. It's again, like to use another video game analogy. Give me 1 second here. To use another video game analogy, it's like maybe you hit a certain level and you thought like that's when the game ended, but then there's like a whole second phase or area of the game and there's like so much more. It kind of reminds me of that. Or maybe you reach level 40, but you can actually get to all the way to level 100, but you just hadn't seen anyone else get past level 40. So once you get to level 40, you're surprised to see like, oh, there's more to go. So I would keep that in mind as well. Another message for you guys right now, because I know we talked about Grasshopper in the collective, it is about leaps of faith, is like, if you're thinking of taking a leap of faith of any type right now, it's okay to hold off of it. If you're not sure what to do or you're feeling more disconcerted about it, like don't force yourself right now is something I'm getting. Because it was kind of just this message of no need to leap was the message, interestingly enough, with Grasshopper. I think I'm just going to say it every live for a while, but they just said truth is going to be revealed all around you on a mass scale. They also gave me the phrase atom bomb of truth, so you guys just might have really big truths showing up around you in the world, personally, and there might be like an atom bomb of truth, metaphorically, that goes off for you in the near future. Pretty soon after this reading is what I'm getting. So along with Grasshopper, sometimes his companion Cricket shows up. There were like a lot of different messages that came through that didn't necessarily, to me, have anything to do with Cricket. One message is there's no going back. And there's a strong message to not go back to the old, whether it's old patterns or like it's an old job or like an old place of work or something like that, because there was this really strong message to stay on the new road, do not go back to old ways. Whether you got an upgrade and you're not worried, you're worried about it or anything like that. There was also a message of, good luck and prosperity, which is kind of more what cricket can symbolize, is at least good luck. I feel like you're on the road to prosperity. You might not see all the riches yet, but they're giving me this, I don't know what's up with the nerdy examples, I'm rolling with it. They're showing me this like younger dragon, and dragons are typically known for having their hoards of treasure. And it's like he hasn't amassed his hoard of treasure yet fully. Like he could, but there's more for him or her or whatever gender identifies as. I like never want to exclude any of you guys, but in this example, this dragon hasn't really amassed his hoard of treasure yet. Maybe he started, but there's like so much more for him. I feel like this dragon also needs to gather experiences. Like he hasn't experienced all life has to offer, and like he maybe is trying to gather his treasure before he's even experienced the other sides of life that would also hold the more of a metaphorical treasure for him, is something I'm getting, that they're jumping in as a message as I'm going through this. One, you haven't seen all that's for you yet, is the message. Like there's more. Two, you're on the road to prosperity, but don't let that consume your life, is another message. There's a lot of riches outside of riches, is something they're saying with that message. And anything else for the highest good with that? That's mostly it, honestly. Just know that you're still growing. There's still more for you. You're on the road to prosperity, and don't make that your whole life, I suppose you could say. Weird message, but I'll just roll with that on that one. So the other thing about this dragon is like he needs to let things come to him a bit more. He might be overextending, trying to like find new treasure or find things that are riches to him. And he might need to kind of like sit with what he has and draw more in, instead of like leaving his current small hoard of treasure to try and find more and then get back and like it's all stolen or something like that. I don't think you're going to lose anything necessarily. I don't think that's the message for you guys either, but one of the messages is like I would call things in right now instead of maybe like seeking out a bajillion things at once and kind of getting lost in the madness of it. And they're also showing me like sometimes as you have like more of a bigger hoard of treasure, you start to magnetize more treasure to you automatically. And I think this can link directly to like money, by the way, where it's like, if you have a large pile of money and like a bank account, like, I don't know, 100,000 or more, it's like if you put that in the stock market or invested it into real estate intelligently, it's like that could begin to just start building more money on its own, just because you have your money and you're, as the quote goes, making it work for you, which I guess that's like Robert Kiyosaki and all the other money people talking about making money grow for you and work for you and stuff. So maybe right now, in some ways, depending on your situation, using what you have and like magnetizing more might be better than like quitting on everything you have to try and find more. Hope that makes sense. I feel like I used like 20 different examples and there were like 50 different messages in that. That was a gross exaggeration. There were quite a few messages in that, so take that as it resonates and applies to you. The next message here, which is this reminder, like this quote kept coming through for you guys, like you deserve good things, or the quote you deserve the best came through. Take that as it resonates. Some of you might not feel deserving of it, but you deserve better than you think for the vast majority of you tuning in, even if you're not a fire sign, by the way, because that was a kind of a collective message. And it's just, again, it's a reminder not to settle. I was getting like there are just, we talked about this in a myriad of different ways already through the messages. There's new beginnings are on the rise for the fire signs. I know we talked about that in the collective. They said new jobs, career advancement, etc. Even with people or like friendships, I feel like there's a lot of new just like popping out of nowhere. Like, the Harry Potter invisibility cloak, they're showing like that. It's like there's like someone in like an invisibility cloak, or a bunch of people or like things, and then like they just like at the right time they just like pop out the cloak. They're like, aha, and it's like you have new people around you or something like that that were like destined to be on your path. So you might have people popping out of nowhere that are like new friends, or things like, or just new people, new things. So that's something they're showing me as well, which is a fun message. Next message here. And like in like all the visuals I was getting in that with the invisibility cloaks, there was like a package, like a cardboard box or a package. They're showing me a new puppy. Maybe some of you are getting a new puppy. I don't think every single one of you is getting a new puppy. Excuse me, because they opened the package and a puppy jumped out. Or in the visual of the package, a puppy jumped out of the package. If I can get the words out of my mouth fast enough. And so just keep that in mind here. There's more with this dragon analogy they wanted to bring out. So this dragon, fully if that's good, is breathing fire. And so what's up with it? Because they said there was more with dragon, and I don't want to. I'm not here to underserve you on the dragon messages. We'll just bring all the dragon messages for the highest good forward. 1 second. So what's, because he was breathing fire, and there's more dragon messages. What's up here? They're showing this cave, and this one of the messages for you guys, and I'll translate it into more like how is this directly going to apply to you. This dragon's like looking for a cave, either for his hoard of treasure or to like settle down in, and they're just saying make sure you choose the right cave. What does that actually mean for you? I feel like I said this already. 1, don't settle. I don't know how many times you need to hear it. Maybe you just need to hear it multiple times so it sinks in. Don't settle is one of the messages, because this dragon is going to grow, and his hoard of treasure is going to grow or expand, hopefully. He's going to need more space, so don't stick yourself in a cave that you're not going to fit in 5 years, or in a situation that is not for you in 2 years. It's like maybe you fit now, but in the future you won't. So don't pigeonhole yourself like that. And what does that specifically apply to situationally for you? I know it's different for each, but for some of you it could be a relationship where it works for you now, but it's like there's no way this person's going to grow with you. For others it could be like a home where it's like you're looking to buy a house, but it's like, is the house you're actually buying and like settling down in the right fit for your future as well? For others of you it's like a job situation. I do get some of you need to like leave a job situation. Not all. Do not just do not go quit your jobs on a whim because I said that. But some of you, like a handful who are tuning in, just need a new situation, and you need to not, what's the best way to say this? Not think of the cave you're in right now as like permanent, but as a stepping stone instead. And you might even be happier because you'll realize you're not stuck at your job your whole life. So anything else with this cave message here? Just think of your future as you're making choices and decisions is what I'm getting with that one. And they're kind of saying like, I don't like this message. They're just kind of giving this heads up. Like you might get like just temporarily like stuck in like the wrong cave for a little while, or trapped. I just don't like those messages because I don't want to scare anyone, and I just don't know if that's always helpful to like get people hyperventilating about getting stuck in the wrong thing and like second guessing their choices and stuff. But just use your head and you'll be fine is what I'm hearing. Like it's probably going to be pretty obvious, and I feel like as long as you're doing your best, you're going to be fine on the message, just to help clarify it. And obviously don't do something that's obviously going to be stupid for you, or like not a good choice. I'm not calling you stupid. None of you are, but just keep that in mind. Next message here. I feel like I'm taking a while on these fire signs readings, so I'm going to see if they want me to wrap it up or what's next here. They did give me the phrase, "You are beautiful." So some of you need to recognize your beauty, whether it's literally external, or it's you as a person, or it's your soul, or it's your energies. I'm just getting a lot of you have a lot more beauty around you than you realize, even if it's not traditional standards, or it's not what you think people judge as beautiful. but a lot of you are just really beautiful people, is what I'm hearing. And the next message that came through, it came through for the collective as well, but it was very specific for the fire signs. Where it first came through is like experiences are coming that are out of this world. So they showed me like a spaceship. They gave me words out of this world. They said experiences are coming that are out of this world. So I'm just hearing you are destined for greater things. I think a lot of you might even feel you're stuck in a small cave right now, or like in like less than you deserve. I'm hearing you won't be. So maybe a different message with that cave that's coming through right now is you deserve better than where you're at. Even if you feel like you're doing well, or like comparatively to the past you're doing well, it's like maybe you still deserve better, and this is like a stepping stone. So the other message coming through is you're probably going to be growing out of certain small caves you're in right now, or outgrowing certain things in your life like much more quickly. And maybe certain things are like, usually you'd like have something and it'd be okay for like years, but maybe you're gonna have something and it's okay for like a couple months and then you already outgrow it. It's kind of like adolescence. Like, you know, you're kind of like 2 feet tall your whole life, and then you're 12 and all of a sudden you're like 5'10" or something. So I don't know. I know that's not literal, but that's kind of something they're showing me as well. Okay, they want me to close the reading there. I hope that made sense and resonated and was helpful for the fire signs. And I'm just going to leave it there and trust that you got what you needed out of it. They're showing me bluegrass right now. I know there's a type of music called bluegrass, but it's literally the visual they're showing me is grass that is blue. So I would try to get out in nature and maybe even out in the countryside. And if you need to like get away for a second, like maybe that would be a good excursion, even if it's just like 15 minutes away from your home. And like get out and just be and let certain things percolate. I feel like you might get a lot of clarity if you do that. Beyond that here, I think we kind of covered this, but in the collective, there's a lot of healing at your roots and like ancestrally. One second here. So what do they want to say about that beyond that here? For a certain amount of you, if not all of you, there might be a certain amount of like just collectively a certain amount of release around the root chakra as well, regarding things about oh my god, if I can get the words out of my mouth properly, regarding things like instability, security, things like that. So there might be a lot of healing that's going to wrap up around the root chakra soon, and you're going to be feeling a lot better about life because of that, but it just might change focus where the healing's at after that. I'm also hearing this word like your ancestors are proud. So if you've been doing a lot of work on yourself, your ancestors are proud of you. I'm sorry, I'm so sorry we're just delving into more messages. I'm not a big fan of the phrase generational curses. I don't think they really exist. I feel like the universe is way too forgiving and magnanimous to just like let literal anything like a curse. Like I'm not even convinced curses fully exist in the first place, personally. And I think the less weight and power we give those things, the better, because then we're not using our creative power to create those things in the world, and we can choose a reality where we're not affected by that, or it doesn't exist in our sphere, or it just doesn't exist, it doesn't have power. The other side of it is I don't think that the universe would allow certain things like that to just play out generation after generation after generation. Like that just seems, doesn't seem right to me, it doesn't feel right to me. But I think like if you think of it as a concept of like breaking generational patterns or ancestral healing, where you're healing certain things genetically, or changing certain things about the line and how it operates, or things like that. I feel like that might be a bit more of an appropriate clause that has more of the appropriate weight behind it, perhaps, though maybe I'm wrong about that. All that to say is a lot of that is like wrapping up big time for this group in particular with the fire signs, and you've done great, like I don't know, closing certain loops or healing certain things that have gone on for a while, or just changing certain things within yourself that no one else has been able to change. That's it. So I'm going to close the reading. Hope that was helpful and made sense. And you don't have to take my word as law necessarily on some of those things, but sometimes I just think, well, I really don't want to talk badly about anyone. So what would be for the highest good for me to say, straight from just that I'm guided to say, instead of me just blabbing my opinions out there? What they're saying would be good for me to say is, I think it would be good if more readers, and maybe I can just put this out there to the universe and it'll help manifest it, if more readers or maybe even certain spiritual teachers would just do their own research or get clearer on things or for themselves, or channel actual messages instead of regurgitating certain phrases or ideas over and over again that other people are saying. It's one thing if you're guided to say something someone else has said. I think it's another to just like take the idea and like go on and on and on about it, like things like generational curses or things like that. Because I think sometimes it just sows fear where there need not be any fear. And I just think if people took more time to get clear on things intuitively instead of just taking a phrase and running with it, I think we just have more accurate readings that we're helping more people instead of just more of the same, I guess. And the other side of that is, if you do have a lot of readers who are actually in tune and fully accurate in channeling messages, or accurately intuitive, actually coming from intuition and knowing, is what I'd say. Like, they are going to probably say a lot of the same things if you watch the different readings between them, because it's actually from spirit or from source instead of so keep that in mind as well. But I don't know. The other thing that's popping in right now, they want me to can it and move on, so I'm going to do that. So I'm not trying to offend anyone. I really don't want to talk badly about people. That's like not what I'm trying to do, but it just was kind of hitting me to maybe say it, so I'm going to say it. Next message, not next message, next reading. So we're going to do the Earth sign, Sun, Moon, and Rising after I drink some water. And no coffee. So hopefully that's good. May the highest must transpire. Earth sign, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Ooh, Tara, me too. I love my sweatshirt I received this week from your merch store. Awesome! I'm so glad to hear it. Yeah, that's awesome. That's exciting. Exciting for me. I hope it's exciting for you too. So Earth sign, Sun, Moon, and Rising. I hope you're doing great. How does it get any better than all this? I'm just going to roll through the channel messages I have for you ahead of time, and my spirit guides, the angels, and source will bring through any additional information that's for your highest good as I do so. Before I even delve into these messages, they're kind of showing me the concept of selenite and higher connection. Some of you are more higher connected than you realize, or you're going higher in your connection to true highest and best infinite source and things like that. And that ties into actually what I have here, upgrade. So you might be upgrading a lot, or upgrading that faculty of yourself, or all faculties. But the first word they gave me for you was upgrade, and to be patient with yourself, because there's a lot shifting in you. I know that kind of came through, or a similar message came through in the collective reading, but it did come through specifically for the Earth signs. And I know some of you have, like, it is for Sun, Moon, and Rising, so sometimes these messages will repeat themselves across like different readings, because some of you guys are watching like 3 different readings and you need the same message 3 times, or they really want you to pay attention to a message 3 times. So if you're hearing a message over and over again through these readings that are meant to be for you, they're for you. It's for you. It's kind of what they're saying. But you are upgrading. Be patient with yourself. There's a lot shifting into you, kind of like the fire signs. They said there's a lot shifting within you. For you guys, I feel like you're releasing a lot is more to the point, is what they're saying. So just be patient with yourself as you're releasing. And sometimes when we're releasing a lot, like we think it's other people, or we think there's something wrong with us, or we think we messed up and the universe is like putting us through crap, or I don't even want to use the word, like maybe we think we're cursed or something, or maybe you do. Not all of you, that's going to be for a specific few of you, but you're not, I just feel like you're releasing a lot. They're also giving me the word heavy load. They're showing like those really big heavy duty like dump trucks where it's like the tire is like 10 people tall. Like it's like in the massive quarries, like the mega trucks or whatever. Or maybe I watched like a documentary called Mega Trucks on YouTube or something on it for like 5 minutes or something, and that's why it's in my head as a mega truck. But they're kind of showing like it's like almost like you're releasing something like that. Not like you're literally releasing a truck, but you know, this truck might carry like a heavy duty load, and it has to dump this heavy duty load or like release it. It's like you're releasing something like that where like you've unearthed a lot, and now it's just like, how do I release this is kind of what they're showing it to me as. So I would just be prepared to release a lot and know that's happening, and nothing's wrong with you. You're just releasing. And I'm hearing to give yourself the next week from whenever you're seeing this, maybe a week or two. I feel like that's when it's gonna be playing out strongly. And it might be a little bit stretchy where it's like maybe you notice it a little bit later, like a month from now. But the next week or two is going to be pretty strong with that, is what I'm getting. For 99.9% of you, if not all of you. Ooh, next message here. They're showing me dirt. I don't know what this, and they're showing me earthworms in this dirt. The message they're giving me is like, you know, dirt seems like it can, like there's worms, it can be icky, like it can kind of seem like cruddy almost. Was not the exact word they gave me, but it's what's popping out of my mouth as I'm going to deliver this message. And the message for you guys is, you know, like even though dirt seems like that, it actually has a lot of nutrients. Like that's where plants drop a lot of nutrients, you know, from the dirt, from the soil. It's where certain bugs get to thrive because they're safe from predators, etc. It's where seeds go to germinate. Is that the right word? And so sometimes it's almost like you were planted, but it's like you're like planted in manure, and it kind of, maybe it's like kind of sucks, but it's like that's really what will cause you to grow, is like you get that extra nutrients, you get that boost of minerals or whatever it is. If you feel like you're going through certain things that just suck, like you're growing, is kind of the message. Not all of it's going to suck. It's like, you know, sometimes kids get out in the dirt, in the mud, and they're having a ton of fun, and it's not really gross to them. And maybe they would play in manure and wouldn't realize it. It's not that I want that to happen. And of course, they'd probably have to take a shower after that or whatever, and maybe their parents are upset, but maybe they're having the time of their lives. So it doesn't have to be bad necessarily either. But if you're going through certain things and you're like, what is this? It's almost like, I don't feel like I'm saying this perfectly, but you're being planted in the dirt so you can grow. It's not a punishment, is something I'm hearing as well. So, and it might not even be bad. So just keep that in mind. This is like an interesting message showing up as well. I'm also hearing you're growing a lot. And as we release a lot, it can make room for us to grow, or it can be a part of our growing. And sometimes us growing is what's forcing out the things that we need to release. As we kind of fill up this space or grow into ourselves, it's like pushing out those things that aren't part of our growth, or not allowing us the room to grow, kind of like a bulldozer, I guess, pushing out dirt. So keep that in mind as well. They are showing me, I guess growth is like a theme right now for you guys, because they're showing me the concept of growing pains, interestingly enough. So what's up with the growing pains here? You just might be going through that, is pretty much what they're saying. So the next thing that they want me to get to here is they want me to also talk about how crystals grow in the dirt, like the shiniest, the most precious, the most out of this world gemstones are found in the earth, in the dirt, and sometimes they come out of the earth dirty and they need to be cleaned or polished or something like that. And they're kind of saying like, you know, you're a gem and maybe you've been undiscovered, or you're waiting for someone to, not that you literally have to depend on someone else to do this, by the way, this is a metaphor, but someone to find you and like clean the dirt off of you and put you on display like you deserve to be. Or maybe you're waiting for something to happen where you're recognized for something, is something they're showing me as well. And I feel like it will happen if this describes you and your situation in some way. maybe you feel like you're amazing and you know it, but you don't think anyone else does, or maybe like a few people do, or maybe even a lot of people, but it's like it's still not at the level like you'd expect or is right for you. So they are showing you being in a different message regarding the dirt, like being pulled out of the dirt and like cleaned and just. And they're also saying like just because you're in the dirt doesn't mean you aren't a gem or aren't something precious or aren't something amazing. It's like all the gems had to come from somewhere, and you've just been growing in the earth this whole time is kind of what they're saying. But it might be time to get out there and be displayed or be shown. So just know it's not over is something I'd say. Like it's almost like you haven't even had your time to shine yet, for at least some of you. For those of you who that message, you're like, yeah, that's me. So what else would be for that is good here? They're showing me this thing like a journey to the center of the earth, or I think we're still on this gemstone message because it's like this long winding tunnel, but it goes really deep in the earth, and they're showing like you guys really down deep. And what is the message here? Sometimes when like something is like really rare, it takes longer to find or unearth or like get to it. So along with that message, if you don't feel like you have been unearthed yet, as that message goes, and like being put on display. And what do I mean by being put on display? It could be a promotion at a job. It could be social media. It could be a relationship and being treasured in the right way in a relationship. It could mean all that and then some. It could mean other things too. But one thing is you have to be found at the right time when like humanity is ready for it is something I'm getting as well, or like the people involved are ready for it. Because it's kind of like they're talking about how certain gemstones, it flashed really quickly. It was like this knowing. And so it's not like it was a really flash of a message, like really fast, but it was this whole concept of how gemstones have certain vibrations, and maybe humanity isn't ready for a certain vibration of a gemstone yet. Like maybe it's really high vibe, or maybe it works with something that's not an issue that's ready to be unearthed yet, etc. And so at the right time, the gemstone in divine timing is brought out from the earth to help humanity with healing a certain thing or healing in certain ways. Or it's like just when all hope is lost, the right gemstone shows up to help someone with an issue or help the world with an issue. I don't know. So one, it's about divine timing. Two, it's like if you're rare, you being rare, it just might take longer to unearth you because you're not as easily found, and maybe some people don't even know what to look for, regarding something like that. So they're busy looking for amethyst when they're passing over. I don't know, what's a rare gemstone? That's a good example, because I don't have a gemstone that hasn't been uncovered yet. It wouldn't make sense to bring that through, but maybe something like that. Maybe that's the example. Like they don't know what to look for in like a rare gemstone that hasn't been discovered yet. So next message for you guys. Just a good reminder that you are worthy of a lot. And all of this is a good message. Give me 1 second. So you are worthy like a lot and like are meant for so much more, which kind of makes sense with like the rare gemstone analogy we've been going on and about just for the past couple minutes here. Just know that you are worthy, and regardless of your past, you are worthy. And sometimes we think that story that has been played out for our lives informs our worthiness, but it does not necessarily inform our worthiness in the ways that we think or directly, or it shouldn't necessarily. Because maybe you're encoded to be an amazing person on this earth who does a lot of amazing things, but you were raised in an abusive household, and then you would play out that pattern with crappy jobs and abusive bosses and etc. And so like this story that's played out is not your truth and is not the true you, and they're like, you can let that go now. It's kind of what they said as well. So that's part of the message of worthiness, is not letting, it sounds a little cliche, but not letting your past define you. and not letting your past define who you're meant to be either. And if you think of the other thing that's flashing in as I'm talking about that, if you think of the hero's journey concept, a lot of the times in the hero's journey, it's just like this seemingly random person who, like, all of a sudden one day they find out they're the chosen one and they have this special ability and they're actually like famous in this other world, or like, you know, like Harry Potter or something like that. And so it's kind of like, you know, their past did not properly inform them of their worthiness of this gift or this hero's journey thing, like being the main character, this whatever it is, magic. So just keep that in mind as well. Like, even most of the hero's journeys stories with those heroes, they were not properly informed of their worth based on their path up to that time. And they're showing me the Avatar: The Last Airbender as well. I think they grew up knowing they were the Avatar, but it wasn't until like a certain time where they were like pulled aside and like a court, like, you know, informed of this and like given special training and stuff. So maybe for you guys, you're gonna get pulled aside in your life soon by the universe in some way to embark on your journey. And some of you are already on your journey, you just haven't realized all this yet fully. Maybe it hasn't sunk in. Next message here, another message, like fire signs got this as well, but it was like, you deserve the best. So stop thinking you deserve shit, even if you're planted in the dirt. Next message here, they showed me a blue jay. And so we're kind of shifting gears a little bit, but the message is like, this is a time of, and maybe we'll shift it right back, we'll see. This is a time of joy that's coming to you. Welcome it with open arms. So there are going to be joyous occasions mixed in with this growth, and I'm getting the word opportunity as well. There are a lot of hidden opportunities around you, and we're bringing the rare gemstone thing back, but maybe in a slightly different way. Where, like, if we were walking through a cave, there could be a whole deposit of, and I know diamonds like are not necessarily, they're only worth a lot because of these like scarcity, made up scarcity things that happens. But maybe you're walking through a mine or this cave, and you, unbeknownst to you, there's like a whole thing of like diamonds or gold ore or something really valuable that's like just underneath the surface of the dirt, and you just have to look a little bit more closely and you see like the glint of something out of the corner of your eye or in the wall or something. So I would look a little bit more closely at what's going on right now, or maybe just ask that these opportunities are unveiled to you or shown to you, or that you're led to them in some way, and just like look a little bit more closely at what's going on and be like, where are the opportunities I'm missing that would be for the highest good for me to employ? I feel like I'm borrowing a Gary Vee term. That would be for the highest good for me to go towards in my life, or bring into my life. And you're going to start seeing them soon, is something I'm getting. So, and don't get overwhelmed by, if you do feel like you have certain options with this, just do the one that feels lightest, or that you're intuitively guided to, or if you sit with it for a second, it becomes very clear like what the correct direction to go with it is. So keep that in mind. They're also showing this concept of unearthing a lot within yourself regarding healing, which I think we've already kind of talked about a little bit with like the release message. Again, be patient with yourself. They want me to reiterate. And anything else with that? They're just saying, like, you know, sometimes we discover things we don't like. They're saying it's going to be okay. A lot of people have things they don't like about themselves. It's not the end of the world, and it doesn't necessarily define you. It's a pattern to rearrange or something to heal, is something they're saying on that one. Next, they want me to get to, so this kind of came through for every reading, grasshopper. And for you guys, I would be taking leaps. I would be putting yourself out there, like making yourself known to the world if you can. Taking leaps in your life, making small changes, maybe making big changes. If you have an earth sign and a fire sign, because it kind of has conflicting messages with that particular message, and you watched both readings, I want to make sure I get something for you that really helps you out with this one. You don't have to leap right now, but you're probably going to have to leap soon, is the message. So keep that in mind. So the next thing they showed me was they're giving me the color blue now, like blue oceans, blue gemstone, blue lights. There is a lot of throat chakra healing going on for you. So if you're having trouble expressing yourself, that's going to turn around. You'll be able to do it really easily, like in a month is what I'm hearing. I know that's kind of seems like a long time. I feel like you'll be fine in the interim. It won't be any different than before. It's just like you're wrapping up things you didn't realize you were wrapping up with that. And maybe even creativity and expression. I feel like you're going to be very creative, but they also, if this wasn't clear with the earlier messages, you're a gem. Next message, they showed me a machine and they said, one, you are, it was kind of like a little bit of a dual message. They said, you are not a machine. So you need to take care of yourself better for at least some of you. The other thing they were saying that I haven't gotten I didn't feel like I really got the full message from them yet on this one. So 1 second here. They were giving me this message of like life is not meant to be a machine, where it's like, don't expect life to be a machine. Life is more than just a mechanical working. Give me 1 second here. So with this message, with life is not meant to be a machine, I think sometimes we can get to a place where we expect life to be the same all the time, or the schedule to always be the same, or life to always stay the same on some internal level, or maybe a deep internal level. Maybe it's not necessarily cognitive either, we just kind of expect it. But life is a bit more organic and needs to breathe. If you think of like life forms need to breathe. So expect life to have certain ebb and flow, like with your schedule, with certain things. Like things can't always be on like a machine timing with life. Otherwise everything would like fall apart is what I'm getting. And yes, there's like divine intelligence underwriting all of life, and divine, perhaps there's like, you know what I'm trying to get to here, divine timing with everything. But divine timing does not necessarily mean mechanical. And yes, machines, because the universe is everything, there are machines that are made that operate and do things on divine timing, of course, because the universe is working through those things, the universe is those things. But don't expect things to operate mechanically in your life or just at all. Otherwise, you're going to be thrown for a loop every time something happens. Like, be a little bit more organic with how your life plays out. Like, take time to rest for yourself, then get back on the horse. Just don't expect things to play out mechanically. And even now, I don't feel like I'm totally like nipping this in the bud the way I really want to as far as getting a message across, but hopefully it makes sense for you, or maybe, yeah, we'll just move forward here. Next message I have for you here, there was just a, give me 1 second here. There are a lot of passed on loved ones around you, and you are getting a lot of, fully for the highest good, only for the highest good, you are getting a lot of extra help right now from the other side, from the universe. So I don't know if you need to hear that right now, but you just might feel, for the highest good, the presence of passed on loved ones or ancestors or things like that. And sometimes when we're in important phases of our life, so all the divine support comes to us full force, and you just have a lot more than you realize. So I would kind of maybe look for that to play out as well in some way as something they're saying. Next message here. There were two messages with this, because they showed me this green bird. It was just a flash. I couldn't really see what type of bird it was. Then they gave me the word tropical. They kind of showed me a parrot as well. But the message for you was, in some ways, like, they just said you deserve better. So what is that about here? Maybe some situation in life where you're getting the shaft, or you feel like you're continually getting the shaft. You deserve better. I would try to leave situations where you're always getting the shaft, by the way. The other message was you deserve the right climate for you, which is kind of similar. So maybe you're built to be a warm, not that you're a parrot, this is an example. Maybe you're built to be a warm weather parrot, but you somehow find yourself in like somewhere colder or somewhere cooler. I don't know why they said New Jersey, but I don't think that's it. But maybe you're just not in the right climate for you. So if you're finding certain things just not working out for you, maybe you're in the wrong climate is one of the messages to consider for yourself. Maybe you need to look at, what do I need to change around me so I'm in the right climate for me, for either for me to succeed or for things to go my way. And sometimes it can be as simple as the people you're surrounding yourself, the things you're watching on TV, the way your room is arranged is something. I heard like some other people talk about like changing the room around and then they like feel a lot better or a lot different. So I've heard other people talk about that. Maybe that's something you consider doing, but where in your climate are things off or not suiting you? How can you change those things or move climate so you're in a better location or space or something for you in your climate? There's just something in your climate that might not be serving you. Either you need to let go of it or look into it. So I would consider that as well. There was just a quick message. They gave me the word peace, but they said you are entering a time of prosperity. Use it wisely. So if you have extra money coming in or anything like that, or you find yourself prosperous, I would ask the question, how can I make the most of this and like not squander it? Because sometimes it's tempting to, you know, we get a bunch of money, we're like, oh, finally. And then we just like go eat out a whole, this isn't the right example. What's the right example? What is the right example for you guys here? One second, sorry about this. It's kind of like sometimes we get a bunch of money and we relax and then all of a sudden like, okay, I'm gonna go buy $200 of things on Amazon that I've been kind of wanting but don't really need. And I think it's okay to like splurge on things sometimes, but if you do find yourself with extra money, I would be like, how can I make the most of this? Or like, what are the next moves I can make instead of like, I'm gonna buy my Gucci bag or whatever, I don't know. Because we don't need a Gucci bag, it's tempting. Sometimes we kind of fall in love with the aesthetic of something or we want to feel a certain way by having it, but there might be better things for you than a status symbol or something like that. Next message here, they gave me the time machine is what they said. They said, don't go back in time, don't revert, move forward, look at your dreams and say or ask, what can I do each day to make this happen? And make sure you are taking that action. So it's a reminder not to revert to old ways or try not to go back to the way things were. And even if you're in an uncomfortable in-between period where it's like you're figuring new patterns out or you're trying to grow something in your life, it's like it's better to go to the next phase than to move back. And what would be an example of this? Maybe you used to eat burritos all the time and it was really unhealthy and you got a gut and it's just you just noticed it wasn't as good for you. And then you're kind of in this phase where maybe you can change your diets or it's easier to change your diet. They'd be like, it's okay if you still have a burrito sometimes, probably, but don't get dragged back into that old pattern because it's convenience or because you think you miss burritos. Like, try to find something else, try to pick the new routes or I feel like I'm borrowing from someone else on pick the new, but that is a message that's what they wanted me to say. Pick the new path. With that, instead of being dragged back into old ways of doing things or being that aren't right for you. I guess an example I could use is like Monster energy drink. I used to, when I was like 18, I used to drink a ton of energy drinks, it was a problem, like way too much, like 3 a day. And I was always tired and I always just felt like crap. And it was such a journey to get to a healthier place with caffeine. But even today, if I even go to think about getting one, I start to feel weird. I guess occasionally if I were really guided to do something, maybe it would be fine, but it's just not a good idea. Don't do it. But that's it for the Earth sign, Sun, Moon, and Rising. There's one more message they want to close out with. There's a monarch butterfly on the wall over here, and it was really catching my eye as I went to turn over here. And they were showing this, in my intuitive visuals, they had a crown on this monarch butterfly as well. And then it also has this stave or whatever, like the Empress. Tarot card. Sorry for the pause. I feel like this came through earlier in some other reading, but you might feel like you're being crowned in some way, or being brought to a higher level. I think that's a theme right now, is for some certain people is being brought to a higher level as well. But I also feel like you're being brought out of the old, like through this like crowning, or it could be an achievement or something like that. So anything else with that would be for your highest good? Monarch butterfly could also just be a sign for you that means something. You could roll with that, but I'm getting a weird phrase like you're evolving out of an old butterfly and becoming a new butterfly, or rebirthing into an even better butterfly. So maybe you're already a butterfly person, but you're becoming more of a butterfly person, as that butterfly person meme goes, or something like that. But in some way, you're leaving the old behind and being crowned by the new is what I'm hearing as I look at that butterfly. So hopefully that makes sense as well. I think my job is to not judge the messages coming through and just bring them through. So I'm going to close the reading there. I hope that was helpful and made sense. I think you're also just evolving is the message with the butterfly. Sometimes we think we've evolved as far as we can go, but there's so much more. And that's what's happening, is you're evolving into the more. So let's move on here. I'm going to take a swig of coffee. The awakening after the awakening. That's a great way to phrase it. You're welcome. Whoop. So, I'm gonna have more. I like coffee. Wow, this really resonated with me. Much love, Brandon. Awesome. Always means the world to hear it. So glad to, you are so welcome. Oh, you didn't? Okay. Much love. Much love to you too is what I meant to say. What I should have said there. So, hey, Chrissy, I'm going to answer this real quickly, then we'll move to the air signs. Why did my daughter call me Lightbringer? I'm simply hearing because that's what you are. That's what she is. And by she, they meant you. So that's what you are. And maybe you don't realize it yet, but you're meant to bring more light to the world. I didn't mean to like do a sign of the cross there. More light to the world. And maybe you just haven't realized all your mission yet, but that's coming. So air signs, sun, moon, and rising. How are you doing? That was a shaky song. I'm gonna drink water, then we'll delve right in. Okay, so before I even delve into this has only happened for like one other reading, but I was drinking that water and this like fairy showed up, and like this fairy queen kind of showed up on my left side, and then they cleared their throat, and then I felt like I needed to clear my throat, and then they're saying, we have a message. So what's going on with this message for you guys from the fairies and the fairy queen here? Okay, because the first thing they're showing me is they're just like, drop your burdens. So some of you are just carrying, if not a lot of you are carrying other people's crap, or you feel like you need to heal everyone and like put others before yourself, but you really need to not do that. They're saying focus on yourself and the rest transforms outside of you. Like you need to be focusing on you. If you're trying to heal everyone else first, like you're going to be potentially even bringing people down because either you're not healed enough to do it, or you're just like not helping people as much as you should or could because you're still dealing with the patterns within yourself, or you're not in the place to figure other people out. And I know there is such a thing as the wounded healer. Trust me, I know. And you can get great results for other people, even if you're still working on things within yourself. It's not a message to limit you. But the message is like, you kind of need to heal yourself and not get dragged into everyone's stuff right now. I feel like otherwise you're going to kind of suffer. So again, to reiterate the message, like focusing on yourself kind of takes care of the rest, and or either as above so below, it helps everyone else out, or it gets you in the position to help other people in the future. I'm also getting this message of like not dragging people down. I don't like this message, but I'm going to say it in case it's helpful for some of you, and this might just be for a select few of you. We'll see who this applies to, and just take it as it resonates. But there's just like, if you're going through a lot, find the right people to help you work through it with, or work through it. do your best not to drag other people down with your problems. I'm not used to providing messages that are a little bit more brutal like that. Some of you do need to work on things for yourself and not bring it to everyone else necessarily, like all your friends or family, for instance, is an example. And that will see more results. And some of you have been looking for certain answers outside of you, but the answers are within you is kind of what I'm hearing, to use that phrase. That's what I'm hearing. So hopefully that all makes sense so far. That's more from that like fairy queen, which hopefully that was resonant and made sense and was helpful. I'm going to move back to the angels now. So going back to your read, I think there was a message like that in the air signs reading as well, though, that came through ahead of time somewhere, or maybe it was the water signs, but I don't remember. That's just kind of a message coming through. So the next message coming through for the air signs, fully flags good if you have an air sign, sun, moon, or rising. I feel like I brought this through for a different sign and a different life, but there is a lot of treasure within you you're unlocking. There was a message to perhaps check in and focus on balancing your lower 3 chakras and getting those good. Tiger's Eye is a good crystal with that, but they just said it's time to balance your lower chakras. That even could help resolve a lot in your life is what I'm getting. So if you feel like that resonates for you or would be helpful, I would consider doing that for yourself and seeing what happens there. Excuse me. They're also showing me the blue version of Tiger's Eye, which is usually called Hawk's Eye, I believe. Why is Hawk's Eye showing up here? This might just be something that's kind of going on collectively, but they're saying you have a higher road, and kind of healing some of that lower chakra stuff might be what helps elevate you up to the higher road or helps you to see it more clearly. Give me 1 second here. So what else would be for the highest good for you guys here for this message here? The next thing they're showing me really interestingly is like you, and you're kind of sitting there, or you're standing here on the ground, and these like selenite, like they're selenite wands. They almost just look like enlarged versions of like the 4-inch like selenite like wands that you can get at a store for like $2 each or something. But they like surround you in this almost like this cage. Like there's like 7 of them, 6 or 7 or 8 of them that surround you, and they fall from the sky and like surround you. I feel like if you feel stuck right now, you're actually just clearing, or something is clearing out of your life, or you're getting cleared. So one of the words is not to worry. Sometimes we feel stuck or get stuck because the universe is working something out of our system. Like you might not have done anything wrong, so keep that in mind. I would also like focus on your mental realms right now and maybe like balancing that. I would do maybe a deep dive meditation on like what's going on with your mind right now. Like, is there something you need to balance? Is there a story we're telling ourselves that isn't true right now? Is there something going on here that's keeping you from what you want? Because they're kind of showing like I don't know if the hemispheres of the brain is really even an exact and true science. I'm a little sketched on it myself. With like right brain, left brain theory, because wouldn't it all just be interconnected anyways? I don't know. Some of the old psychology and old science stuff I'm a little bit on intuitively, personally. I think the left brain, right brain, what I get now is it's kind of a thing, but there's more to it, and people simplify it, and I think they're right brained or left brained or all these things, but really it should all be working cohesively in a balanced way for you that's right for you. It probably shouldn't really just be one or the other necessarily, and probably the more balanced the better, because those things can feed into each other and exchange information in a better way, instead of one side of the brain trying to do all this work, if that makes sense. I don't even think it's a true theory. I think it just explains things, but I think people can do better with a way to explain the brain and the mind. So that's my quick journey into channeling on typically taught psychology things, but let's move forward, shall we? So as far as like balancing the mind here, I think certain people might have told you things probably about yourself, but even about your life that weren't true, and maybe you bought them and you're like, oh, I'm a terrible person, or oh, I can't do good things, or something like that. It's not true is what I'd say. So how can you release the things that people told you that aren't true? I would literally like set that as an intention, like what will it take for me to release the things people told me that aren't true and go with what's true instead, like manifest that or something. But again, deep dive meditation, what's going on with your mind and maybe your psyche. You might just uncover things that are really interesting, and it just might help you out a ton. That's something I'm getting on that one. I think it would also just help balance things out on the rest of your life. And sometimes our minds are just like the one thing that's holding us back just because of a story or something we need to shift. And once that's done, it's like we're good as gold. So keep that in mind. Next message here, I think this just kind of came through for everyone, but there's a message like you deserve better things. So there was a message, make sure you are looking at like what do I actually deserve instead of what can I settle for. This came through in the collective as well, but keep it in mind, like there are a lot of shifts coming up that will allow you to have more of what you deserve and not just be stuck with settling. So the message is there are shifts coming up that could allow you to go for what you actually want and maybe even dream of, instead of like settling for the same things. And sometimes we only settle because we think we can't have what we actually want. They want me to tell this whole story, and it's from another person. It's from the access consciousness people that I reference a lot. And it was this story from this dude named Gary Douglas, who's one of the co-founders of that modality. And he was telling this story. It's going to sound really simple once I tell it, but that's fine. He used to work in a thrift shop, and what he realized, like once he kept like looking at like what can I afford that I want, but then he like heard of this concept of like layaway, where it's like, yeah, if you want something that's more expensive than what you can afford right now, you can put it on layaway and pay for it, over time, and then have what you actually want instead of just what you can afford or what you could settle for, if I were to tie that in a little bit more, which is maybe not the way he was talking about it, but kind of is. So I digress. What he was really getting to was like, you can kind of take that and apply it to life instead of just a thrift shop, where it's like, what do you actually truly desire? If you could have anything you want, is the way he'd probably say it. What do you actually truly desire? And like ask for that from the universe, not like what you think you can afford, think you can have, based on your past or what your experiences or whatever you're trying to base it off of. It's like if you were actually to get clear on like what do you actually want, whether it's lofty and seems unattainable, or is something no one else has ever experienced or heard of before, or it's just completely outside of the realm of what most people think is possible, and like asking for it and manifesting it anyways, or they have a bunch of like what they call access tools, like access consciousness tools to help create those things, etc. So I need to stop saying etc. after every line, but I digress. It's kind of like that, but in life for you guys as well with this message, where it's like, what do you actually deserve? Like, what do you actually desire in life? Not what do you think you can have, not what do you think you can get right now. Like, maybe you think you can only get Couch Potato Jim, who sort of treats you right, and he, I guess he makes enough and he's all right, but maybe you deserve super amazing Rob, I guess, who owns a business and really loves you, and you know where I'm going with this. I don't need to hammer on about that example, but there are shifts coming up that could allow you to have more of what you truly desire instead of selling, so don't settle right now is what I'd say. Next, well, is there a better way for me to phrase that for you guys that would help you? That is the message, so you get it. Next thing here, there was a message for you guys that you are becoming someone new very quickly. That kind of ties in, we are in eclipse season at the time of me doing this or facilitating this, and so if you're watching this in the future on YouTube, still going to be true for you. Not that you're going to be in eclipse season, but that's going to be happening for you. And sometimes we're just like on the crux of realizing something that changes everything. And I'm seeing something like that perhaps coming in for you guys as well, where it's just like you realize something about yourself or life or what you want, and it's just like, it's kind of like the illusion falls away and you're like, oh, that changes everything. So I think I do get something like that coming in for you guys as well. So that's going to be what's up. And again, I'm just going to hammer this home because it just seems to be the message for a lot of you guys right now. You are destined for greater things is the message. So don't get caught up in old things that don't resonate, or people that drag you down, or things that seem like a right fit, sort of, but they're not. It's like there's better for you. So next message here, it just also seems like a theme for everyone. Higher road is on the way. It kind of ties in with everything we've just been talking about so far, where there's some type of higher road coming in for you. Next message here, there was like this, they showed me like, they gave me the words dragon and fable, and I didn't get the whole rest of the message yet before I kind of moved on to other messages, because it just didn't seem to be flowing in the moment for whatever reason, or I wasn't supposed to bring that through yet. So if they want to bring something through for you guys about that here, I feel like I'm reiterating an earlier message where they're saying, stop telling yourself fables about life, like I can't have this, or I'm not worthy of anything, or things like that. We've kind of already talked about that, so I don't want to beat a dead horse, but one second, anything else? Some of you might feel like, and this is a good thing, feel like you're living a fable in the near future is what I'm hearing, where it's like certain things you thought could never happen do actually happen. And that's part of what they're talking about with not settling as well. Because you start to just kind of release the things that are hindering you. You start to open up possibilities. And when those the higher possibilities actually start to happen, then all of a sudden, like this whole other world opens up where anything's possible, and you're not just like stuck in the same old ruts that you've been stuck in for 5 years or whatever. Hopefully you haven't literally been stuck in a rut for 5 years, but something like that. I would just make sure you're expressing yourself right now and like not dam up your emotions. There was like an urge to help you like release or like feel, express, make art, do something with your creativity, do something like that. There's also a quick message of, and I'm borrowing this again, I've said this in a number of lives. This lady, Sark, is what she goes by. It was on a podcast, the Lee Harris podcast I was listening to, and he was interviewing her. And she talked about like one way to deal with emotions. It was either on the podcast or it was some other newsletter thing that I read from her, where it was like a way to kind of release emotions is literally like, if you notice an emotion in the moment, you're like, okay, I see you, fear or anger or sadness, like I'm acknowledging you. I don't have time to like get to you right now. I'm just going to acknowledge you, and then we're going to go about our day. And later on, what she recommended is like at the end of the day, or when you have time, like pull out a piece of paper, write down those emotions, just like sadness, fear. And the concept is getting the emotions out of you and like releasing them. And it's not manifesting it. Like you're not writing it down with the intention to manifest it or anything like that. If anything, the intention is to help you release emotion. So you're in this way manifesting, releasing the emotion, I guess, but writing like fear, sadness, things like certain things like that. And then once you can kind of get it out, you can either look at it or you can just rip it up and either burn it or recycle it or whatever works best for you. I know like in a lot of situations burning is wildly inconvenient. I remember one time we moved into an apartment and I was like, I wanted to burn papers, but one, there's not like a lot of room in the apartment complex or outside of it to like set things on fire necessarily, where everyone could see it. And two, it's like kind of creates a lot of smoke to burn paper. Like you can't really put it in the oven because it just smokes. So just recycle it if you have to. But I didn't have to go into that. You get what I'm saying. Showing me a lizard next here, and they're showing like how a lizard can lose its tail, like if a predator goes after it. What's the message for you guys though about this one here? I just feel like you're being taught how to let go of the things that you don't need to hold on to, or that you, as trite as it sounds, you need to let go of, or that no longer serve you, or something like that. You're being taught that you can release things and be okay. A lot of us are taught to hold on to things or hoard things. Even like emotions is something is new to me that they're saying right now. It's like we're taught to hold on to things or suppress or keep it bottled up or not express certain things. But you're being taught to let go of the things you don't need to hold on to. Let go of the things you don't need to hold on. Yeah. So next message here, fully fine, that's good. One message for you guys is like you are going to be, 1 second. You are going to be called to a great leap soon is pretty much what they said. Like they gave me the words great leap. The other message in Grasshopper showed up for you guys as well. It said you are going to be blocked from leaps that aren't for you. So you might be called to a big leap soon, but something's if something like blocks you from taking a certain leap, probably not the right direction for you. What would be an example of that? Maybe you go to like get a new job and like maybe they just never call you back, even though like you get to like the final round of interviews and then it's just like, nope. It's like, okay, you won't be able to take that leap. Or like you go to move house and then housing inspection happens and the house is like condemned or something and you can't move in without like $1 bajillion of repair. So something like that. So keep that in mind. I would also just be like clearing your energies consistently as a message. They showed me a salt block and that was the thing they said. So every night, every day, every morning, something, whether you're literally like sitting on like getting like a salt crystals and like sitting on them, or clearing your energies with the selenite wands, or say, you know, using the, what's the right, whether you're lighting the herbs on fire to clear your energies, whether it's sage or, I know some people are a little bit leery of using white sage because it's endangered. So ethically sourced, and if you're worried about the Native American, like where it comes from, you can buy it from companies that are Native American that grow the sage sustainably, or whatever works for you, that feels ethical to you, I suppose. But something to clear your energies every day is going to be good for you. So I feel like I went on like a lot of tirades on that one. I hope that was helpful, made sense, resonated. That we're about to close it out here. So any last messages for the air signs here? So some of you might be plucked out of a busy lifestyle and forced to float a bit and rest. Just take it and run with it is what I'm getting. Like, you're not supposed to be busy all the time. No one is. It's okay if that's some of your jam and you love being busy. That's fine. But sometimes we need to take a rest or like be put on pause or something. Otherwise, like it's just it's like a machine that doesn't get oil, that just tears itself apart after a while. So not literally. And I'm not trying to create that for you, but that was the example popping in my head. It was like a machine that doesn't, or an engine that doesn't get oil. It just like, eventually it breaks down. So if you're forced to float, just do it, just rest. But that's it. We're moving on. They were showing me the City of Gold though. One day they'll say, that's it, that's the reading. And then they won't have extra messages right afterwards. Sometimes you have to leave behind a city of gold to have a city of platinum. So if you're forced to leave a good thing behind to have something better, that's okay, is what they want to say to you as well. So we're going to move to the water signs, sun, moon, or rising, and we'll see what comes through for you. You're welcome, Kelker. I have my water down here. Okay. Spilling coffee. I wanted to drink coffee and you're like, no, don't drink it. So, okay. Glad to be here today. I'm glad you're here today, lady. It's good to see you. So we are moving on to the water signs, sun, moon, and rising. And now I can have coffee. I don't know what's up with that. What's up with you guys? What's going on? They want me to start with the alligator is showing up first for the water signs here. And this alligator is kind of in this Florida water, this like pond or lake or river or something. And there's a bunch of pond scum around, if that's important. There's woods, I don't know if they have mosquitoes in Florida. I don't know. There's something going on with bugs. And this alligator's kind of waiting on the right time to strike at some prey. The thing is, he's focused on the wrong prey right now. Like, there's children playing on the bank and this alligator's like focused on them. But at the last second, the universe kind of distracts it. Like maybe a fish brushes up against it and like spooks it, and it's kind of flips out a second. One, if you're focused on the wrong thing, you're going to have your focus redirected probably at the last second to the right thing and the right prey that's for you, because there's this deer on this other area of the bank that you're supposed to go to as this alligator. Like the children are divinely, not that you're out there trying to get people, by the way. It's just an example of, the alligator is not supposed to go to the children. It's supposed to eat this deer or whatever, or something. And so your attention might be redirected away from something that's not for you. That's it's almost like it's divinely protected is something I'm hearing. And I don't feel like, for the people I read for, I think it's very rare that any of you are like out there to go like harm people or do anything not for the highest good necessarily. Maybe some of you, and it is what it is. Like, you'll probably evolve out of it. Like, it's not a big deal. But I know there's a whole bunch of different people that show up for you. But for the most part, I'm sure, I don't want you to think you're a bad person, by the way. I don't think you really are. But this, as far as like these children being divinely protected, you going towards this deer instead, it could be divine protection for you as well, because if you were to go after these children in this weird metaphor, it's like maybe the humans would come after you, and there'd be some type of retribution. So you're being redirected to something that's for you, that's clean, it's the right fit, and maybe it'll feed you better. So some of you are just being redirected away from something that you really want, but it's not the right fit. So all that to say that there is more with this alligator message, though, because this alligator is also divinely provided for. He might think that certain, and you're not predators, this is just an example, he might think that certain prey like just keeps getting swept away from him, or like he keeps thinking like all these things he wants, like, well, what's the way to say this? He might think that certain things he wants to happen are not happening. However, there's a lot that's for him that he doesn't realize is for him if he just like turn around, if he'd look at the rest of the riverbank, if he'd maybe like swim a little bit longer down the river. It's like all these things that were for him. Whatever a treasure is to an alligator, that would be like available to this alligator. So you're just being redirected to what's for you. Next message here, fully for that is good. What else do we need to get to here? I do feel like you guys are divinely protected as well. I know we use an example of children being divinely protected from you. Not to worry. I don't think it's like you're out to get people and bad things are going to happen. I'm so sorry. I feel like I am just talking in a circle right now. Let me recenter here and just get to the point. If I were to really summarize it, you're divinely protected. You're being brought to what's for you. And don't worry about any examples or aspects of that example that didn't resonate for you. We're going to move on to the next message here. We're still with this alligator or this crocodile here. And the thing about this alligator is he has multiple food sources that could be food for him. Like there's animals on the shore. There's fish in the water. Maybe there's snakes that he could eat or something. So this could tie in as a message for multiple streams of income for some of you is what I'm hearing, where maybe you're able to grow to multiple streams of income and have multiple things feeding you, not in a negative or weird way, but in a good way in your life. For others of you, try not to get attached to where you're getting certain things in your life, whether it's even like social interaction, or it's a certain way of making money, or certain people you always hang around. Like, try to either vary your experiences, or you're going to be shown that there's more for you than just like one way to do things or one way to get something you need for yourself in your life. But you have to be open to alternate ways of doing things, open to other ways of getting income, open to other people. Excuse me, I'm burping a lot. Open to, and sometimes I'm burping because I'm releasing, because you guys are releasing, or maybe one of you is burping and I'm burping. It's this whole empath thing, I guess, or energy sensitivity thing, but energy awareness thing. Oh my God. You're just going to be shown more food sources for you in your life if you're open to it. So part of the message is to stop being so honed in on one thing that you miss the whole boat of things that are for you just around the corner, or if you just turn around, or just widen your perspective or view a little bit. So that's the alligator message. We are moving on here to this pigeon that is flying in the sky, is what they're showing me. Give me 1 second. Next. So with this pigeon flying through the sky, it's a carrier pigeon. He's like delivering a message, and there are like people trying to shoot this pigeon, or it almost seems like you, out of the sky. It's like they don't want a message to be delivered, or they don't like that this pigeon is the one doing it. They want someone else or something else to do it. It's really weird. I'm getting a message like if you feel like people are trying to bring you down, regardless of what you're doing, and especially if you're doing something that's for the highest good, like I would not let them is kind of the message. I'd keep doing what you're doing, actually. I'm hearing this message like God has you doing what you're doing for a reason. And even if certain people are upset by it or don't want you to succeed or something like that, it's not really your fault. It's their stuff. And either those people that are trying to bring you down are destined to watch you succeed, or you're supposed to teach, not like you're trying to teach them a lesson, but you're supposed to teach them a lesson universally, or the universe through you teaches them a lesson where it's like, it's not okay to try and shoot certain people down. So if you feel like you're under attack in some way, in some area of your life, you're going to be okay. I feel like you're meant to be doing what you're doing in some way. You'll probably know what this is as you're listening. And it's almost like pay them no heed. It's like they can't hit you. Like there's this cocoon of, it's for the highest good. It's only for the highest good. Cocoon of light around it. So like the bullets can't hit it. The arrows can't hit it. It just kind of has to keep flying and follow its divine guidance, I guess, or go to where it's supposed to go and deliver the message. So one of the messages for you is keep doing you and pay no heed to what other people are thinking and doing. And you're going to do a lot better because of it, is an interesting message coming through. Next message here, there's this egg. It's either from the pigeon or something like that. I'm getting the phrase birthing new things. Some of you are, if not all of you are here to birth for the highest good. What's, new things into the world. And some people don't like new things. It's like they just want to play Atari from the 1980s or 70s or whatever, or 90s, I don't know. Their whole life, and they're like, nothing will beat Atari, but there's like so many better things they could be doing if they would just open their eyes. So what would be another example? Maybe some people they only want to drive the Model T, and they're so upset that people would think they could improve upon the perfection of the Model T, which is a painfully obsolete car by today's standards, of course. But they're still like obsessed with the Model T. And it's kind of just like, don't stop doing new things or creating new things or doing things that resonate for you that would either help the world or just be really good for you, just because other people are stuck in the past or don't want new things, because they probably do. There is a quote, and I think this is originally from this book I haven't read in like a decade. It was like Think and Grow Rich by, I forget his name. And it's like a 1930s self-help book. But like there's certain self-help gurus that will they'll treat it like the freaking Bible. And I don't know how I feel about a lot of those guys, honestly, just based on my personal experiences. But I digress. I think I've heard friends quote it, and maybe I've just heard other self-help people quote it from and I haven't heard this in like 10 years since I stopped hanging around that crowd. But there was this whole thing about how Henry Ford, who invented the Model T, to use that example in a different way, he kept interviewing people about travel. And like he'd be like hearing like, what do you guys want? And everyone would say they want faster horses. They want faster horses. But it's like you can't really, unless you can't really make a faster horse. So what did he do? He made the car because it's faster and it's not a horse, but it gave the people what they actually wanted. And they thought they couldn't conceptualize behind horses and like that kind of travel. And so once they had this new thing that was the faster horse, or just faster, they're like, oh, that's how they get their wish granted, I guess. And that's part of how he became successful. One of a few reasons. But I don't even know if that's true. I would have to check in, but that's like a quote that people talk about with business and creating things. I feel like some of you, if not all of you, are here to like make the faster horses, and people might not like it because they're used to the old and they're like, bah, what are these mechanical car contraptions? But you know, if you look at the history of cars, like what became the main dominant form of transportation that's changed a lot of things is cars and all the things that sprung from them. Like I don't like warfare, but you know, all the other things that sprung from it. So don't get held back by people who are stuck in the past, I guess, in some way. Hopefully something in all that is clicking with you and you're able to continue on with what you're supposed to do instead of getting distracted by people who don't like new things, I guess, or improved things, or don't see it. They don't get it yet. Next message here for you guys. I do feel like there is one, you're on the road to great things was like the first thing that came through ahead of time. All this has just been in the moment, what's been coming through for you guys so far, but just know you're on the road to great things. So that's good. Next message, they showed me dragon, and this time for you, the message with this dragon was like about wisdom. They just said there's a lot of wisdom coming in for you. You're going to be feeling wise. You're going to be being more wise. And sometimes our past experiences culminate into wisdom when we least expect it, or we wake up one day and something finishes wiring in our brains, and this, not the story, but the story is put together correctly, and all of a sudden like you have all this wisdom accessible to you. And I don't know if that's literally what's going to be happening, but that's what they're showing me. Something like that, where you're just, your wisdom's more culminated, or you're ready to build on it. Or there aren't really like holes in your wisdom or thought process anymore. If there were, I don't even like the term thought process as much. I think it's much better to come from intuition and knowing, but I think, I don't know, that's a whole other story. So there's this thing I listen to, and it is an access consciousness thing, and he talks about like a lot of people think knowing is a function of thinking, but it's not. So that's why I get sometimes weird about certain, just things I've heard, I get weird about certain words like thoughts or thinking, but I think it's actually a good thing the way they meant it for you guys, where it's like things will just be more cohesive and there won't be as many holes in like what you're trying to do or the ways you're going about things, whether it's intuition or thought process or wisdom or whatever. Not that there can be, hopefully there aren't holes in intuition in the first place for you, but whatever. Next message here, there was this message, just a reminder for you to be, it kind of is similar to what the air signs had, but be hospitable to your own needs. Don't hold yourself back from being, don't hold yourself back from being you. Make sure you are covered before you try to help everyone else in any way. It's kind of similar to how the air sign reading got kick-started with that fairy, but I would just, be hospitable to your own needs first, and make sure there's time for you in a day with your life and time for your needs. And sometimes you need an hour to just sit there, or maybe you need like time for yourself, or you need time with your morning coffee before you do anything. It's like honor those things that you notice about yourself, instead of pushing them down to try and serve other people or to try and serve something else in your life. Because it's, I don't know if this is literally the way to phrase it, but the way I'm getting it is like you are a part of what you're creating. Like the world needs you to create what you're here to create for the world or to do in the world. So if you're not taken care of as the thing or the conduit that the universe is using to birth things into the world, is a way I could phrase it, or the conduit of the person, or if you're not okay as the thing that's creating the things in the world that need to be created, like how is that supposed to work? Like you need this conduit to be good. It'd be like trying to get water from the pipes to the sink to a house. And like, in order for, this to serve its purpose, the pipes have to be okay and like serviced, and they can't have like big holes in them, or they can't be like all rusty and all this gross rust is getting into the water. It's like, it has to be okay. Oh my God, I'm getting lost in my words, but you are a part of what's being created through you, through what you're creating and what you're doing in the world. You need to be, it's good for you to be okay, so that what purpose you're serving can be better served. Thank you. Have a good day. Sorry, next message. That was a joke. So the next message, I'm going to reiterate this message in case you need to hear it again, but And again, some of you are watching like multiple readings because it's sun, moon, and rising, and it's just a message that's for you. But higher road is the message. They said everyone's being called to a higher road. So it could be the same thing you're doing, but slightly different or in an elevated version of it. But there are just higher roads being birthed and coming in for people. It's time to take higher roads in your life. And by higher roads, it could be a higher version of your path. Or maybe you're doing a type of work, but it gets elevated and you're doing more or having more of an impact. Or it could be maybe you're expanding your business to do more with your business. It's like another way that could show up. Or maybe you're ditching something like a project to move to a project that better serves you in the world. It's higher and better, has better results, more money, etc. So I'm also hearing a word like more moral for some of you, not all of you. If you've been involved with something that's a little bit iffy on the ethics, that's going to change. You're either going to leave that thing behind or something about it's going to change to fit with your values or ethics more, interesting enough, so keep that in mind. So the next message I have for you is they gave me this concept, and we're kind of carrying on this like old video game theme for this reading, I guess, that keeps popping up. But back in the day, quite a while ago, when the original Pokemon games came out, traditionally these games have like two versions. There's and it was like a red version and a blue version. And the thing is, like, these were kind of the way it's like sold. It's like almost pitched as these like opposing things. Like, are you team red or are you team blue? But it's like really the same freaking game with just some minor adjustments between the two. They're really both like one thing. And so it was kind of this message of like, they just gave me the words one and the same. Sometimes things appear in opposition, but are actually two sides of the same coin. So it's kind of like what I just said was the example they gave. So what does that apply to? Like, why is that? What is important for you about that is there might be people trying to sell you like two things. Like the example that comes to me is like Republican or Democrats. It's like, are there really, yes, there's differences in some of the philosophies. There's maybe differences in the ways the two people who would be drawn into either group think, but is it really all that different at the end of the day with the results we're getting, or like what happens depending on who's in power or whatever? Sometimes, but probably not really, honestly. Or there was an example. I remember like one time I had a job and the manager was talking about how her aunt would be like, would talk about, I forget what it was specifically. I think it was a type of essential oil, and it's like the purple flower, and I can't remember what it's called. I'm so sorry. It was some type of essential oil, and she would think that like her aunt would be like, this essential oil cures everything, like every illness. I'm only going to use this. And then her uncle would be, her other uncle, and like on the other side of the family or something would be like, I only drink whiskey. Whiskey cures every illness. I only use whiskey when I get sick. And I just remember like thinking like that's like two sides of the same coin. It's like yeah, like one's supposed to be more holistic and health-based, and the other is supposed to be like, you know, there's like those dudes who are like, whiskey cures everything. But it's like, you're kind of just still trying to bludgeon a bunch of different issues with the exact same thing that may or may not directly help with those things, or, you know, so it's kind of, I know one seems more holistic and one seems more like, oh, that's the worst option, but it's kind of the same thing. Just be wary of people trying to sell you like two different things that are the same thing, and it might be time to go your own road and go with your own beliefs, or trust your own guidance over what two different people are trying to sell you, because you might be getting something different, or maybe you choose one or the other, but I don't think that's the case. I would just be wary of that weird dualistic thing, but it's the same thing. Next message here, particularly in work, weirdly enough, maybe someone's trying to make you choose sides at work, but it'll go the same way either way. For some of you, that's one way that could play out. but I don't know, that's what I'm getting. Next message here, they kind of show me I know pirates show up for the water signs as a sign a lot, but they showed me a pirate. They said, don't let others steal your hope. You are destined for bigger things. So that's coming through for like almost every sign here, that destined for bigger things. I think you should just pay attention to that message right now, regardless of what you're going through. As far as don't let others steal your hope, what's the message there is, a lot of people are trying to sell you a version of the world that's not true. And it could even just be on the news. It could be coworkers, people around you. It could be just articles on Facebook or something like that. The world is not hopeless. The world is actually transforming in a really beautiful way. So don't give up hope on you or the world right now. Because almost everyone, not everyone, but a lot of people want you to take on their beliefs for their validation, or because they think that's the safe belief and they're worried about you and they don't want you to be like some other person they knew or something like that. It's really safe to go with what's true for you, what you believe in, and not get sold into this hopeless reality where everything's doom and gloom or everything's going to heck or things like that. Just be really wary of people who are just trying to sell you hopelessness or like nothing's ever going to get better, because everything will get better eventually. I think in some ways you have to be patient is something I'm getting, but everyone wants to, not everyone, a lot of people want to sell fear because fear sells. Like, I think even tarot readers in some instances, like on other, just on platforms or things. I really don't want to talk badly about other tarot readers or other readers. I think I should nip that in the bud and just stop right there. But a lot of people might try to sell fear because fear sells, and like that can be what gets attention because people freak out about it and they want to stay safe. But nothing's hopeless. I'm done talking in circles on that. Hopefully you get it now. That's kind of it for the water signs. They're showing me stars next, like shooting stars. They're showing me the concept of deep space, and like they're showing me Lanakia, like that super cluster. And what would be highest and best for me to bring through for you on this? What's the divine message for you on this guy? Fully that's good. 1 second. One phrase I'm hearing is go deep. It could be within yourself, but it could also just be in a certain thing, like immersing yourself into something. One thing that's kind of happening is there might be a lot of destined events or things going on that force you deep within yourself, either to heal something or to pull something out of you, like a skill or ability to use in the future. There is also just a lot of destiny at play and in store for this crowd, for the water signs, the moon and rising tuning into this. So a lot of what's happening right now is destined. Not all. They're clarifying because they want me to be careful with that message. But if you feel like certain things are happening that's not like great or it's bad, it's like there might be more at play than like what you're seeing on the surface. They're also giving me the word distortion. So what's up with this here? There's also a lot of destined things that are meant to kick you in gear, like either regarding a business or something else going on. So you might be spurred into action soon in some way regarding that. I don't feel like I'm really tying this message together totally right though. So what would be the highest and best summary for you guys here? I think it's a similar message to the air signs. I think like going deep and healing something. Beyond that, it's kind of what I already said. There's a lot of destiny at play, so don't beat up on yourself about anything right now, because it's like things will work out for the better. But sometimes when we feel like we are the towel being wrung out and forced to release things, and we think things are going wrong, they're actually not. It's just a temporary kink in the system being worked out, or a temporary thing we're working through. So the other words I hear are all is not lost. If you're going through anything like that, or that reminds you of, I think you're going to be coming, you're going to be coming out of the other side better, probably than ever, but better than before, which is good. And I feel like it's going to be short-lived as well. Like sometimes we're afraid like, oh, these are going to be the rest of my years, or this is going to be the next year of my life, but then it's like a day. You're like, oh, never mind. I'm okay. I just needed to nap or something. So I'm going to close it there. I feel like I'm starting to ramble, so I'm going to close it there, and hopefully that was helpful and made sense for you guys regarding all that. So, how does it get any better than that? We're going to do a full channel mode message. I'm going to give myself like 1 second and like drink water and stuff. So let's see what would be highest and best for you to do next year. I'm going to drink water and just take a second, and we're going to jump into the channel message. So accurate. Wow, thank you. Thank you for the feedback, Kishay. I appreciate it. You are welcome. That is always the aim. Believe that's good. I'm going to drink some coffee too and hang out for like 2 seconds. Like singling, heck yeah. How's it getting better than that? So I am going to, I came prepared this time. I'm going to plug in my phone before we jump into the channel message, because sometimes if the battery gets low and I get a like display of that, then it'll give me a whole of course it like pops up on the phone like, oh, your battery's low, but then it freezes the live, and we don't want that, do we? Give me 1 second. Thank you so much. How long have you been channeling? You are amazing, and thank you so much for what you do. You're so welcome, and thank you. I love your shirt. I dreamt of a tiny gold dragon the other night. Oh, that's awesome. I love that synchronicity. So I've been channeling. So I've been asked that question before, and sometimes my guides will jump in, or all the time, and they'll be like, you've been channeling your whole life. When it really started more consciously, or when I knew what was going on, and I was been like working on it and like honing it in since 2017 is what I'd say was when I really had, I've had, when I look back, I'll notice times where like I was talking to someone and I was like channeling without realizing it or something like that. Or like music, like I'd be writing music and sometimes it would, but let's get that energy out of there. We don't need that. But 2017 is when I really like started it more consciously, or had my first like, that I'm like, I knew what was happening. I didn't call it channeling right away, but that's when it started. And then I'd say when I started doing actual full channel mode messages where like my eyes would be closed and like they'd be speaking directly through me, that really started late 2018 to early 2019 is when it really started. And then as far as like where it got a lot good and I was consistently, channeling fully accurate information all the time, 2020 was when that really started. And then, so I'd say it's been almost 5 years that I've been consciously working on it. And I've heard people talk about things like in readings, like, oh yeah, you've been working on this for many lives. Like it's, as far as the progress you've made, like I know other people have been like, oh, you progressed really quickly. So I'm aware of that. But that's, I also think like with dedicated focus, if you like make something a focus and you're working on it, you can do just so much over a period of even like 3 years, especially 5 years. Like if my theory is, they don't want me to say what I'm saying, so I'm sorry. What would be for that for me to say? I just think if certain people would just choose one thing and get really good at it and like make it a core focus or a priority over the course of years, they could really achieve anything that they wanted to that had to do with that thing, like whether it was business or it was channeling or it's arts or music, or if they just would really make it a priority and focus on it like consistently over the course of years. Like I just think people could do anything, but that's my theory. If that answers that. Oh, thank you. Okay, I'm gonna start so fully fast good. 1 second here. I'm gonna just sit with something here. Okay, we're gonna start the channel. I'm gonna just put the sign up here and sit with it for a second. Called out, I'm all over the place, so no. As far as like practice, in a sense, yes, it's just making it a priority. And you know what? They want me to tell you as well, but there's like, because I used to, before I got into channeling and stuff, I was very focused on guitar and music. And I played for like 10 years. And one of the quotes from me learning guitar from people I've learned from is like, it is kind of practice. It can be practice. It can be a little different with channeling because it can be something you're utilizing all the time, or intuition. But with like guitar, it'd be like, they talk about, focused practice that's focused on the right things makes perfect, or like proper practice makes perfect, or some of the other phrases are like practice makes. I don't like this. I think sometimes I need to be aware of what I'm saying because it can really just manifest it working that way. So I don't want to say some of the things I was about to say, but if you're focused on something and focused on improving it and making it a priority, I just think you're going to make progress. Whether it's you're directly practicing it or you're looking at different instructors or ways to learn it or anything like that. Okay, we're gonna jump into the channel. I feel like this channel is about evolution and maybe evolution of the soul, which is a weird phrase. But we're just gonna see what comes through, and they might take it in a completely different direction. So fully if that's good, I'm gonna step out of the way. My spirit guides, the angels and source, we're gonna see what they have to say. Fully for that is good. And these tend to be about 10 to 20 minutes long when I do this, but we'll see what they have to say. So give me just like a minute here, or maybe shorter, and I'll probably cough a bit, and then they'll laugh and just start talking through me is usually how it shows up. So 2 seconds here. Welcome to this particular channel, on this particular live, and we have a bit of a doozy for you energetically today. It might feel a bit like a positive atom bomb of consciousness in your world, for you are evolving consciousness through you. Consciousness is evolving through you, and you are here to evolve consciousness on the planet. At the same time, consciousness is everything. So what you're really doing is opening yourselves to spirit more, becoming more of a conduit of consciousness and who and what you truly are, which is source, is your soul, is spirit, is consciousness, and elevating those levels on the planet so nothing else can exist. And by nothing else can exist, we do not mean that physicality will cease to exist, or that certain relationships will cease to exist, or that all human customs will disappear from the planet tomorrow, or anything like that. What we are saying is that there is a rise of light and consciousness through you, and you are the light, of course. You are the light here on earth, and we urge you to remember that on a certain level so that you can be more of that more consciously and bring it to the collective more consciously. But through you, this rise of light and consciousness is occurring on the planet, and this is spurring human evolution. And by nothing else existing, we mean unconsciousness, darkness, lack of consciousness, the patterns that have been playing out unconsciously, and in certain ways that's been needed for the survival of species on the planet. For, you start as amoebas or single-celled or multi-celled organisms. They need certain patterns in play to survive that realm before they evolve into the next creature. And the next creature needs certain patterns in play until it evolves into the next round of creatures. And those creatures need certain patterns in place to survive until they evolve into the next round of creatures. And it's all one. It's all part of the divine plan, the consciousness elevating the evolution of the species. But you are at a crux point in your evolution where consciousness takes over, so to speak. And there's a bit of a consciousness bomb on the planet. And the darker patterns are forced to leave more quickly than ever before because they no longer belong with the new pattern, the new creature, if you will, that will be emerging out of the human condition. So your patterns have served you well. The unconscious ones, the survival-oriented patterns. But where you're headed next, while it may seem like a mystery to you, and we do not want to divulge too much information and cause you to freak out or feel like you are not enough or you are not doing enough for the planet, for that is not a helpful message for anyone. And if you were not given information at the proper speed, or you were given too much, you might do what is necessary in your lives now, either for fear of what would happen in the future, or certain times when you know the outcomes, you do not take the actions necessary to get to them. And Spirit does not want to remove the possibilities that your actions playing out in the now will create or open up for you in the future. That being said, it is the evolution of humanity that is occurring in this moment. It is the evolution of humanity that you are seeing all around you. And some of you forget that and get into fear and think Source is not there, or to use the term God is not there, that you are forgotten, that you are just floating on a planet in the middle of nowhere, lost in space. People are waging war. People are dropping literal physical bombs. Everything's going to hell in a handbasket, and there is no hell, by the way. There's no hell to go to. But you are evolving. And again, the darkness leaving the planet is consciousness entering the planet. And you are the conduits of that. Let us explain what we mean more. Some of you do not get it yet. You opening to Spirit, you doing what you are doing right now, you living your life, you allowing the, in some ways, collective to run through you, the patterns, the old patterns, you healing yourself, you correcting things in yourself. Everything you're doing right now is part of this evolution process, whether it seems mundane or difficult or easy. And you are opening the possibilities for the future generations, for the future you, through your actions today. But so much of it is happening through you, through the consciousness elevating on the planet, through you being a conduit of consciousness, which also is you at the same time. So what are you here to evolve in you? In your family patterns you inherited, your genetics, and your body, and the things in your life that are playing out. What did you come here to evolve and spur evolution for in this lifetime? And all of you are meant to evolve everything through your actions, through your integration, through what you are doing. You just do not realize you are enough to do so, or that your piece of the puzzle is enough. For there are millions of you here, billions even, who will come online and do the work. And you think you need to do it all yourselves. You do not. Take care of your piece. Take care of your life. And if that involves helping others, and that is part of your piece of the puzzle, so be it. Perfect. You're doing good work. That's what you're meant to be doing. You're helping others evolve. But you taking care of your piece takes care of all the pieces. Takes care of all of it. And some of you think your world is so small, but you are all of it. You are so much more expansive than you realize. You are so much more of the world than you realize, the universe. If you are unlimited, one change in you could change everything. And we're here to tell you that, yes, that happens. That is what's happening. As an infinite being, you are changing everything as you change. You are changing everything as your world changes. And some of you might think everything's so small, but if you pay attention, You'll see how healing something in yourself is healing everyone else, is evolving everyone else. You taking care of that ancestral patterning is forcing it to release for everyone else. Not in a painful way where you're forcing things on them. It's just part of the patterning that's playing out in the collective, the interconnectedness of all things. So what are you here to evolve? And that is not a question you need to answer. Some of you may receive the intuition on what that is, and you might be called to do something physically about it. Others of you just need to hear the question and let it unlock something in you through the energetic encodement with this channel, the energetic transmission from true highest and most infinite source with this channel. Because this channel is opening up your evolution. Where are you locked? Where have you not been letting the light in? Where have you not been letting consciousness flow the way it should? All you need to do is let more consciousness in and you will evolve. It is not a complicated process. It is not something you need to overthink. And your minds might get in the way. So much of this is happening outside of the minds, which is why the mind might get confused at times. But it is not up to your mind to evolve everything. It's up to your body, it's up to the universe, it's up to the lights. It's up to all these other things that are everything, but perhaps that your mind is not. So don't overthink this message. It is actually quite simple. Let the light in, heal yourself, do your work, take care of your peace, water your garden. You are evolving. Consciousness is rising. Darkness is leaving. Don't get disconcerted. Don't freak out if you can help it. That's what's going on. That's really what we want to tell you. And you're part of the process. You're not separate. You're not over here, some little old lady, to use an example, shuttered away in a hut, having no effect on the collective, going, woe is me, eating your rice ball or soup or whatever you're eating. You're having an effect. Even just sitting there, going through that, releasing your patterns, going through your thought processes, realizing things about life, because you are part of the whole. So where are you headed? Where are you headed as individuals? Where are you headed as a collective? To go back to our earlier analogy about creatures dying off and evolving, old patterns dying off, creatures evolving. If it was not made clear, that is what's happening right now. The old patterns are dying off. You're becoming the new creatures. It may not look physical right now. It could look mental and emotional and energetic. But the physical always follows the energetic, if you have not noticed. And sometimes it's direct, as above, so below. The physical always follows the energetic. So as you are energetically upshifting, as you're upgrading, as your systems are used by consciousness, and we do not mean in a negative way used, you are consciousness. Consciousness is working through you. As your systems are used to evolve, you're becoming the new creature. And you are your soul. You are source. You're evolving the body. You're evolving the earth. And some of you forget you are, yes, you are your body, and you as you are now is, in a sense, a marriage between your soul and your body. But you are not only your body. You're not stuck in this life. None of you are stuck here. You want to be here. You should be here. You're right where you're supposed to be here. But there's a purpose you're playing out, your soul incarnate. And that is the evolution of humanity. That is the rise of consciousness. None of you came here for nothing. None of you came here to just experience life and wilt away. That is a big part of it, is the experience. But none of you came here for nothing. Don't forget that. So what else would be important for us to talk about with you today? What else is going on with evolution? Your bodies are working out a lot of pains right now. A lot of aches. You might feel things shifting with your body. Might feel a little bit worried. And yes, of course, go get something checked out if it's serious, yes. We are not saying don't go to your doctors or healers, don't get things checked out. If something seems serious, get it checked out. But for the most part, small aches or pains, certain things popping up, your body is working out everything in the way of evolution, whether emotional, whether it's traumatic, whether it's physical, whether it's ancestral. So don't get disconcerted if you are healing a lot, if you are working through things, physical or otherwise. And you're all going to heal in different ways. Some of you it will be more mental, emotional. Some of you it will be more physical. Some of you it will be more at a soul level. You'll be working through etheric things. But it's all the right thing for you, at the right pace for you. We leave you with that. You are not meant to be anything other than what you are, anything other than what you're becoming. So take the pressure off of yourself to evolve yourself, evolve humanity. Let that happen through you. Let yourselves be the conduit of spirit, of consciousness that allows that to happen. For that is taken care of. You are taken care of. Focus on your garden. Focus on making your life better, up-leveling things for you. And if part of that mission that you have is helping others, let that be a part of it. And know that is a part of your calling, a part of your garden. But don't let it take over your evolution or think that your mind has to handle everything. That is all. We wish you well. We bid you farewell. And may the highest and best evolution occur with ease and grace and in the ways that are right for you. This has been a message spurring evolution in multiple facets of your lives and helping you to clear away the things in the way of you evolving as an individual and collectively. That is all. Signing out for now. We leave you and wish you the highest and best. Farewell. Whew. Give me 1 second. I hope that was good. Excuse me. I'm just going to take a second to come down from that. You're welcome, guys. Thank you, Andy Pandy Pie. You're so welcome. I'm so glad to hear it's helpful. Oh my gosh, I'm losing my voice. That was everything. Yes, awesome. You're welcome, guys. That was great. You're always great. Thank you. You're welcome. I appreciate that. How's it get? Oh, awesome. Well, I just hope that the highest and best for it to do for you guys. You guys are welcome. I hope you guys are doing well out there too. Oh, you missed it? It should be up on YouTube. But I appreciate you guys. I haven't seen any moderators in chat yet, but I just wanted to say if you're here, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. Please, please, please upload this one. So much gratitude, deep resonance. Okay, I will. I still have to upload 2 from the past few weeks, but I'll definitely do this one soon. As long as TikTok saves it appropriately, because sometimes TikTok messes it up, or something in the back end in TikTok technologically messes it up and I can't download it. I think I'll be able to download this one, but absolutely. Yeah, awesome. Anything else? I mean, we could just chat for a second here. I might just do some self-promotion really quickly because they're giving me that phrase. I don't know if it's like something I should even say before I launch into it, but I might just hang out for a second and just talk about what's going on and just hang out with you guys for a little bit. And maybe, I don't know if I'll do it right now, but they're showing me doing a healing session, like an energy work session. So maybe we'll do that. But as far as what I've got going on right now, so I recently launched I launched a newsletter so that's going on where I just have channel messages on the month ahead. That's going to be coming out, and of course the next one's going to be. I only said a while ago. That's been, some of you are already signed up, but the one for November will be coming out on the 1st, so you can sign up for that if you feel called to it. Of course, that's in the link in the bio. All of this is in the link in the bio, but I also launched a membership recently that has just multiple levels to it. So of course, I'll keep doing this. I'll keep putting out everything I'm doing on social media already, at least for the most part. But if you love the channel messages, like the direct channeling messages, if you like the collective readings, and if you like just some of the other things I do have, like depending on the level you choose, there's longer channeled messages, like 30-minute plus channel messages that'll be going out monthly, channel guided meditations depending on the level, weekly readings as of right now. So that's available through my website as well if you're interested. It's just a monthly membership, no obligation, of course. And besides that, the next thing I do have next week, I have a 4 Angelic Fires class coming up, which is a modality I was shown earlier this year. I've taught 2 groups so far with really good feedback. And the price is only like $100 per person right now. I think originally it was going to be like $200, but I just started it with lower prices, and we're just probably going to walk it up to the original price as I do classes. If you are listening and you tried to sign up for the first one, that was like $50 a class or per person, and I didn't get back to you, just let me know and I'll keep you at the $50 mark. But that's coming up next week, so I'm really excited about that one and where that's going. And that one's been really exciting for me because the feedback's just been really good. And I guess that's it for right now. I do typically do one-on-one readings. I don't have my scheduler open right now, but I probably will next week. So membership is awesome. Readings and guided meditations are well with it. Thank you so much, Andy Pandy Pie. And that feedback means the world. So I'm glad and that is, of course, my intention is you are getting as much as for the highest good, for all involved, but as much as I can value and it being the best it can be for you guys. That's what I'm aiming for with that. So awesome. I'm looking forward to it, Warrior Within. Looking forward to it. But that's it. I'm sure there's more, but that's what I'm getting is it to talk about right now, and my mind's going a little bit blank. So self-promotion wise, that's what's going on. I appreciate you guys sticking around for that as I get better at promoting myself in a healthy way. That's not just I don't know. My aim is just like, I never want to just be like taking, I have a merch store too. I forgot about that. My aim is to never just be like taking from people. I don't like that. I want it to be as win-win or, in a way that's healthy for me as well with what I can provide and give. Like the highest and best it can be, that's for the highest good for the other person on the other, making the purchase or booking the class or the reading. Like I want to make sure that it's not just me extracting or taking. Like it doesn't feel good to me. It doesn't work for me. So that's always my aim. So hopefully you'll just go to what you feel called towards. I know you won't sign up for something you don't feel drawn to, so I'm just gonna trust it. Let's just hang out for a second and just I don't know if you guys have any. I'll probably shy away from doing like one-on-one readings over the live right now. I don't even want to open that door because I know like we used to have the Q&A box. Is it rude to ask if you're single? Not necessarily. I am seeing someone is the answer to that. I am dating someone, so I'm sorry if that's a disappointing thing for anybody who's watching, but you are such a genuine person. Thank you. I appreciate that. Heather Vibes. It's refreshing. What's refreshing? What did I miss? Oh, probably what I said. Awesome. You are awesome, and thank you for the coupons. You're welcome, Warrior Within. Just want to be respectful. Oh, thank you, Authentic Mystic. Totally good. No worries. Still waiting for that GF reveal. We'll see. Your shirt is so sick. Thank you. This is one of my favorites, this tank top here. I need to get more tank tops. I found that I really like tank tops over this past summer, and I know it's not summer anymore, but it's still like one of my favorite things to wear, I guess. We'll see if I get it's for the highest good to do like a girlfriend reveal or anything like that. Right now they want me to keep it private, and I can respect that for the other person, but we'll see what happens in the future. What are other ways to study energy besides Reiki? Ooh, that's a great question. One, I think your own studies are going to be great and like grand. Like they're showing me like the violet flame. A short message is like just start working with the energy more and you'll be shown other ways. But I would look into other energies or modalities like the violet flame, which is a common one taught, or whatever calls to you. There was one I learned a while back called Amakuaki, which wasn't, in some ways, just wasn't long-term the right fit for me. I think there were a lot of really good things I got out of it, and like but learning different modalities, different things from certain different people, like you kind of start to pick up on what's possible, and you kind of start to put two and two together as the universe shows you things as you're working with the energy. The other thing I'd say is like honing your intuition and your, whether it's channeling or however you operate, and like expanding that, because you'll be shown other ways to do things, or you'll be shown the ways that work for you, to begin expanding a practice on working with energy that maybe other people don't talk about, or maybe they don't know how to talk about, or maybe they haven't had that experience, or get to, so the other thing I was getting something else too. But one thing that they would talk about, well, one thing I will say is like, as you're working with the energy and playing with it, it's going to show you things, or your intuition's going to show you things, or you'll get new experiences that start to expand things, even if it is just Reiki. But I would just start playing with different energies like angelic lights or the violet flame as well, or look into if access conscious. I don't know if access consciousness is the answer. It's a different modality that's not anything like Reiki. It still works with like consciousness and energy work, but it's a totally different approach. And one thing I've also found is a good way to work with energy is literally just asking for it, like not just Reiki, but ask for angelic light from source to surround you, or ask for the violet flame to flow to this situation and transmute it. And like you can work with energy just asking for it as well. But as you work with it and experiments, like you'll be shown more things like that. I'm getting that's all you needed, so I won't keep going on. Hope you have a great day too, Kit Kat. Should we listen to our own intuition or reach out for readings? I'm always going to be an advocate for listening to your own intuition. Always, 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 always. What I'm hearing for you as an answer is it does depend on like, where are you at right now? Like, do you feel like you're good with listening to your intuition? Do you trust it? Do you trust yourself? Do you feel like you're ready to listen to your intuition? Do you need validation? Are you just totally lost and spun out and ungrounded, and you're just like, I just need some help, and like you're going to book a reading with someone? Recently for me, I've had so many lessons of just like, trust yourself, not other people, trust yourself, not other people, trust yourself, not, and there's some give and take with that, because sometimes there are certain readers that are always accurate and you can't always count on them. Sometimes they're, the universe is speaking the message through someone else for you. But for me, like as you get more honed in, for me, the universe has seemed to wean me off of, like, for instance, watching readings on YouTube more or too much, or watching pick a card readings, or reaching out to certain friends, and you kind of have to let go of that and just live your life intuitively guided. And as you start to realize you listening to yourself is going better than listening to other people, I would trust that and take that lesson and run with it as quickly as you can, because otherwise it's just years of run around of listening to someone else, and then your life tanks, and then you learn to listen to yourself, and then so that's what I'd say as well. But I know that's not like the cut and dry answer, but it really depends on where you're at for like listening to your own intuition. Like, do you have it honed in? Has the universe shown you like you're always accurate? But eventually you'll find the right balance with it. And sometimes it's still okay to reach out for a reading not with me, and I'm not trying to get you to book a reading with me. I'm thinking for myself right now. Like, there's like a reader that I'll tend to book with, because they'll tend to be they just helped me through a lot back in the day, and sometimes it's good to just have like a quick checkup, or even if I don't feel like I need it, is something I wanted to say as well. I was guided or nudged to a different interesting modality. Perfect. I would run with that, because I love Reiki. That was like one of the first modalities I learned. I teach it, but I don't personally, just what I've seen and what I've seen with other people, I don't really know if I don't think it's the end all be all. For some people, it's all they need. For some practitioners, that's their jam and that's perfect for them and they can build off of that. For other people, they need more, or that's like a gateway to other things for them. So I would not, if you feel drawn to more or something different, don't stick yourself just with Reiki is what I'd say as well, in my experience. I think you understand. Perfect. Heck yeah. You're welcome playing in space. I'm JK with you on the GF reveal. I can almost picture her, so it's more curious if I'm accurate. Okay, yeah, maybe at a certain point, but right now I'm going to respect their privacy and yeah. Okay, I think I'm going to close the reading soon. I might hang out for just another second here because they're saying I need to like hang out for a little bit more, but I think some you guys are welcome. Okay. Sorry, I kept the channel up. Whew. It's good to see you too. That's your girl. I am probably just about to close out the reading here because they keep showing to like close it out. So not literally like that, but this is what they keep showing me. So I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I've enjoyed this live immensely. I definitely had, I know I talked about it during the live, I definitely had the contraction before the expansion going into this live experience where I was just like this morning, I was just like, oh, should I do this? And they were like, yes, you should do it. But then as I got closer to the time and I went live, it was like a lot better. I felt really good. So I appreciate you guys. It always ends up being a joy doing these for you guys, and we're gonna see how these lives, I'm not gonna say anything right now. We'll see. We'll just see what happens. But I'm gonna keep doing these. But you have a great rest of your day. Have a great rest of your week. Hi, Brandon. Fell asleep again, but I can feel it was great. Perfect. I hope you got whatever you needed from the sleep. And sometimes, especially when it's the full channel mode messages, or maybe the other ones too, like when you fall asleep, you're still getting the frequency and the energetic transmission and what you're supposed to get from it energetically. So hopefully you still got what you needed or whatever it was for your highest good there. All right, I love you guys. I am wishing you well. And is there something else I need to do? Or do I need to hang out for another second with you guys? All right, I'm just gonna get going. I am wishing you a great week, and I will see you in a week, I guess. I fell asleep too and woke up directly to messages I needed. Perfect. That's perfect, 'cause that's just the divine timing. Like, hey, here you go. All right, guys, you take care out there. I will see you soon.